There are some problems here. Sorry, big time.
I'm so upset. Oh my God.
All right, welcome to the Young Turks. Cenk Uygur, Anna Kasparian with you guys.
Hi.
You crazy dog, this day is amazing for two reasons. Number one, Anna and I are both in the studio.
We are.
Okay.
That's become a rarity these days.
Yeah, but number two, but a little less important, oh my God, we're gonna get the Epstein files.
Are we?
Okay,
Are
we? Well, sure, of course, we'll discuss that.
Yeah.
But I want to tell you guys why I think today is actually monumentally important.
Because I'm here in the flesh and everyone's excited about it.
Sure. But also, okay. But I think that this Epstein vote was a seminal moment. So we'll talk about that as we go along. And there's so many fights now back and forth. Marjorie Taylor Greene against Donald Trump and Massey taking shots, etc. Lost in all this is Ro Khanna leading the effort for the Democrats, but alone. That was so weird.
That was, yeah, we'll talk about all of that.
Okay, so we've got a million things to tell you about, so let's do it.
You know, it's so good to be home. Like, it feels so good.
Yeah,
you know,
home sweet home, you crazy?
It's like when you've been out of town for school, which I never experienced because my parents made me go to a school right by where I grew up. And then you come home for the holidays, it just feels like warm and fuzzy inside.
Oh, don't I know it, sister? Okay, I mean, that was the best coming home for Thanksgiving.
Definitely. All right, well, let's get to this.
And today, with this vote, we are finally putting these victims and these survivors of Jeffrey Epstein and the cabal of rich, powerful elites that expands not just here in the United States of America, but to other countries as well. We're putting them last.
Preach it, sister. That was Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene delivering a speech on the House floor today as the House voted overwhelmingly in favor of the release of the Epstein files. Now, the bill later made its way to the Senate. I'll give you the update on what the Senate decided in just a moment. But Cenk, your 2 cents?
Look, I think the fact that they buckled is enormous. And once we tell you about this seminal event to begin with, then I want to talk about, wait, can we do this again and again and again, where we put pressure on corrupt politicians to do what we want instead of what their donors want? That would make this moment and this day way more historic. So let's talk about it.
Definitely. What would also make my life historic is if I also get a special graphic, but instead of 2 cents, it says, Anna, the whole enchilada.
Ooh,
think about it.
Okay, we're gonna think about it.
Think about it. All right, so here are the details. Here is what happened in the House as they voted on this bill today. The House did vote overwhelmingly to pass what is now known as the Epstein Files Transparency Act. 427 House lawmakers, including 216 Republicans, voted in favor of this legislation. Clay Higgins was the sole Republican who voted no. And he did explain himself in a statement posted on X where he says that basically the way that this legislation is written is it's gonna harm people who might have their names in these files, but are actually innocent and have not engaged in any wrongdoing. He says it abandons 250 years of criminal justice procedure in America. As written, this bill reveals and injures thousands of innocent people, witnesses, people who provided alibis, family members, etc. If enacted in its current form, this type of broad reveal of criminal investigative files related to a rabid media will absolutely result in innocent people being hurt. But those files would make clear what the alibis of these individuals were, right? I mean.
Yeah, it's always been nonsense, total junk. So like it made me think Clay Higgins, like secretly the best paid congressman from Israel, because there's no reason, this is nonsense. All the victims are obviously protected and redacted, and you're worried about the predators that, look, we all get it, man. Bill Clinton and Bill Gates and all those guys and Republicans and right wingers might have been in his phone book, but not done anything illegal. We're not the R word, we get it, right?
I gotta be honest with you. Listen, I haven't been completely black-pilled on our institutions. And what I mean by that is, I think our institutions have overall failed us, especially as they currently exist today. But I still believe in the existence of these institutions. I just think they need to be gutted and reformed, okay, top to bottom. With that in mind, with the way our judicial system works, how our criminal justice system works, and the fact that there hasn't been justice for the survivors, over 1,000 of them, is infuriating beyond belief. And so when you can't rely on your institutions in a democratic system to actually do what's right and serve the best interests of the American people, this is the next best thing, right? I mean, this is the only thing that you can demand or ask for, to actually have the raw data, the raw files, the actual information and evidence that was used in the case against Jeffrey Epstein. When you can't rely on your own government to do its job, that's when the people rise up and demand that they have access to this information. And that's exactly what happened here.
I want to clarify one thing.
This guy's worried about the innocent people who might be implicated through the release of these files. Well, our justice system did everyone dirty, okay? This is a result of their failure. I just want to be very clear about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, so he's not worried about the victims. The victims are definitely redacted, and a lot of them have now come out publicly. He's worried about people who are named on the list who might not have actually done it. That means, kidding aside, half kidding aside, he almost certainly knows someone on that list, or it's either a donor or a friend, etc. There's no reason on God's given earth to be the only vote against this, because you're so hung up on protecting someone who was a friend and ally of Epstein, but maybe didn't do it and maybe did, right? No, it's super clear.
So look, I think we've already spent way too much time on Higgins's ridiculous excuse for why he voted against transparency in the Epstein files. But let's talk a little bit about the Senate, because there was initially reporting that the Senate was going to hold a vote on the same legislation tomorrow. In fact, Senate Majority Leader John Thune made that clear. However, they've already held their vote, and the Senate has passed the bill through unanimous consent. But the real question here, everyone, is whether or not President Trump is gonna sign the legislation. Now, just recently, he kind of did a 180. He started urging the House to vote on the legislation, to pass the legislation. But Trump be plotting. And I'm gonna give you a little insight into what his plot is. Now, first, there were some red flags, okay? Let's start with red flag number 1, which is what Trump said to a reporter aboard Air Force One. This was on November 14th, last Friday.
Is there something incriminating in the file, sir? Is there something incriminating in the file, sir?
He called a Bloomberg reporter who asked about the possible release of the Epstein files piggy, as if he is blind and unable to ever look in the mirror and see the grotesque image reflected. But nonetheless, he then doubled down on that. You might say, well, look, that was last Friday. He's since changed his tune on the Epstein files. Maybe he's had a come to Jesus moment. No, that's not what Trump does. He doesn't have those kinds of moments. So Vaughn Hilliard, who is the senior White House correspondent for MSNBC, basically reported today that Trump actually doubled down, saying, quote, "This reporter behaved in an inappropriate and unprofessional way towards her colleagues on the plane. If you're going to give it, you have to be able to take it." I'm sorry, what exactly did this Bloomberg reporter do that was so terrible and disrespectful to her colleagues? She asked a question that you didn't want to answer, so you decided to attack her and call her piggy instead. Like, who does that? Like, what are you, 12?
Trump, yeah, that's what Trump does, yeah. So look, everybody looked past it on his own side when he was attacking just people on the left, celebrities like Rosie O'Donnell, etc. They thought it was hilarious, and he's trolling and he's making fun of people, etc. But now that he's attacked his own side so many times, only weak and foolish Republicans would want the Epstein files over and over again. Now everybody's beginning to see, including his own voters, yeah, wait a minute, she's asking you a legitimate question about a thing we care about, and now you're calling her piggy. Like, that's obviously over the top, and it's not funny. First of all, it was never funny for a lot of us, but for even the folks who thought it was funny in the beginning, even they're not amused anymore. And then, well, lastly, guys, I know we gotten used to Trump and being such a jerk, honestly, an easy way of putting it, but that's not cool. Like, forget cancel, forget everything, forget culture wars. It's just not cool. Like, to look at someone and go, ha ha, I'm gonna make fun of your looks when you're a journalist asking me a question. Nah, that's gross, man. And any decent person should realize that's gross.
So this is a little bit of a tangent, but it's very much related to why I believe people like Trump, powerful people, and it's not just Trump. Previous presidents have engaged in what I believe is a cover-up as well. Democrats, Republicans, it doesn't matter. Trump is just less sophisticated and unable to kind of finesse the situation as previous presidents had. He's a blunt object, or he just doesn't know how to handle it and calls people names, and it makes it obvious he's engaged in a cover-up. Dropside News, this just dropped. So Jeffrey Epstein pursued Swiss Rothschild bank to finance Israeli cyber weapons empire. Epstein on Ariane de Rothschild, quote, "It was said to me, if Ehud Barak wants to make serious money, he will have to build a relationship with me, take time so that we can truly understand one another." This is reported by Ryan Grimm and Maz Hussein for Dropsite News. Yet another connection between Epstein and the Israeli government.
As we've been telling you over the last 10 days or so since Dropsite News first broke a series of 4 stories, there's now no question that Jeffrey Epstein was working with Israel, not necessarily for Israel, but with Israel, with Ehud Barak and an Israeli spy at the time who stayed at his house on multiple occasions for long stretches of a time, and they were plotting to try to get America to bomb Syria and to bomb Iran. So he's not working for American interests, and he is actively working for Israeli interests. That's in Ehud Barak's emails. It's indisputable, yet literally no one from American media is talking, in mainstream media, is talking about the obvious and overwhelming connections to Israel.
And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why our corporate media, our legacy media, refuses to cover this part of the story, which I would venture to say is just as important, if not more important, than the way they frame this whole situation. The way the mainstream media, it's interesting, they always frame the Epstein files as a partisan battle. Ooh, it's a partisan battle, so we're constantly fighting each other. Now, keep in mind, the Epstein files have already implicated powerful people on the left and the right. Okay, Larry Summers essentially getting advice from Epstein on how to handle the young woman from Harvard that he was having an affair with.
He on quote, how to get horizontal with the person he was mentoring, okay?
Okay. Disgusting, especially because in those emails, Summers made very clear that it's obvious that she's not really into him, but wants to have this connection with him because he's powerful and knows that she can basically further her future by having this relationship with him.
And him and Epstein talk about make sure you don't give her any of those contacts and help until she has sex with you. So okay, so that's the Democrats. We showed you Stacey Plaskett the other day taking a text from Epstein, asking the questions Epstein has directed her to ask. So yes, there's Democrats who are terribly guilty. Yes, there are potentially Republicans who are terribly guilty. And so the press keeps going down. Remember, if you release it, you're both gonna get hurt. Like, who are you working for? What is this absurdity?
And it's even worse than that. The way they cover this story, I feel, intentionally pits American voters against one another, rather than focusing on how this is basically a conspiracy involving the most powerful people, not just in this country, but in the world.
Okay,
victimizing our children, victimizing minors. Like, that's what this story is about. So like, to me, I'm sorry, if you are still very much operating with the mindset of everything is partisan, that's all we care about, we have to protect our tribe, I'm sorry. I'm sure the way we cover this story upsets you. I don't care about partisanship right now, at all, at all, at all. I see a much bigger threat to this country, our democracy, our freedom, our sovereignty, than, is it the Democrats who are worse or the Republicans who are worse? There's garbage on both sides, we need to get them out.
Okay, two quick things about that. So in the stories that Drop Site News broke, Epstein arranges a meeting with Vladimir Putin and Ehud Barak. Ehud Barak, the former prime minister of Israel, could not arrange that meeting on his own. He needed Epstein to arrange it. On that fact alone, that shows you that Epstein was one of the most powerful people on earth. That's not a relevant story.
It's crazy.
Not a single mainstream media outlet has covered that. No, that's why what Tom Massey, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Ro Khanna did in pushing this forward was absolutely heroic. If there's ever any truth or justice in our history books, they will mark those three as absolute American heroes for defying all of Washington, all of their colleagues, and all of the media. Because all of them, and why are all of his colleagues and all their colleagues and the media, why were they all covering up for a pedophile? How does that make any sense at all? One of the worst criminals in American history, why are they all covering for him? Come on, guys, we all know the answer. We already know it, the stories have already been broken. It's because Epstein was working with Israel, and Washington, D.C. is 100% occupied by Israel, but the American people broke their lock today.
Yes.
It was amazing. You put so much pressure on them that all those people were constantly playing shell games, to Anna's point. Oh, we're not in charge? Okay, we want the files. Oh, we're in charge? We don't want the files, right? And all of a sudden, you guys put a stop to that.
I know.
And by the way, tremendous credit to the Trump voters who put pressure on their own representatives and broke them. Great job.
And before we get to how Trump is gonna handle this moving forward, because that's the most important part of the story to focus on moving forward, I do want you to hear from Annie Farmer, because this morning, prior to the House holding its vote on this legislation, the survivors, along with Representatives Ro Khanna, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Thomas Massey, held a press conference. And what you're about to hear from Annie Farmer is exactly right. This is not about partisanship, especially when you consider how this has been an issue throughout several administrations.
In 1996, when my sister Maria bravely blew the whistle on this group by reporting to the FBI what Epstein and Maxwell did to both of us, they hung up on the phone on her, and there was no follow-up of any kind. Bill Clinton was president. In 2006, the FBI came to us, finally interviewed us, and asked us both to be witnesses against Epstein. We were very anxious, but we agreed. And then we didn't hear back from them due to their infamous sweetheart deal. George W. Bush was president. In 2015, when the DOJ was sent FOIA requests for Maria's FBI files, and they were denied, as they have been many times, Barack Obama was president. In 2019, when Epstein died in prison due to either negligence or foul play, Donald Trump was president. In 2023, Maria's attorneys sent a letter on her behalf to the government requesting an investigation into the repeated law enforcement failures in this case, similar to what was done in the case of Larry Nassar. They declined to do so. Consequently, my sister filed notice that she would be suing the government for failing to uphold its legal, ethical, and moral duties in this case. Joe Biden was president.
I thought that part of her speech was so powerful because it really does show you that, again, this issue stretched across, the cover-up stretched across several administrations, both Democrat and Republican. And so, again, I just urge anyone watching this who's still operating based on partisan politics to reconsider whether it makes sense to just take at face value the framing that we've been getting from corporate and legacy media on this issue. For this issue alone, if that's all it takes, try to put that aside and think about how this is much bigger than partisan bickering.
Yeah, so a lot of people on the Democratic side are now making the case, well, look, there was an open case, Ghislaine Maxwell, when Biden was president. That's why Biden couldn't release the files. If there's an open case, you can't release the files. That is technically true. But let me ask all those people, where are all the prosecutions? If Obama, Biden, and all the Democrats were just angels, but God, golly gee, there's just this one open case, so there's nothing they could do. Well, what was stopping them from prosecuting all the other predators? They didn't prosecute a single one, they didn't open a single case, they didn't do a single thing to hold anyone accountable for those crimes. So please spare me this total and utter BS about how the Democrats would have done the right thing. Where's the prosecutions? No, they had every opportunity to do the right thing. They never took it, because this is not about Epstein. This is not about Democrats or Republicans. This is about a government actor that they are not telling you about. And if you say to me, hey, Jake, it's not Mossad, it's the CIA, and maybe they work together, sure. But it isn't no one. It isn't Epstein and Maxwell by themselves and magically protected by both parties nonstop. And last thing, when it comes to Republicans, Alex Acosta is the one who gave him the sweetheart deal. He's a US attorney down in Miami. He pops up later, 8 years later, as the labor secretary for Trump. Labor secretary, when he was just a US attorney, that is so random. But you gotta reward the guy who gave the sweetheart deal to the worst pedophile in American history. Who's rewarding him? Who is making these decisions and then actively hiding it from everyone else? That's the most important question. And by the way, the question that mainstream media not only will not ask when they're supposed to be journalists and reporters, but actively hides by saying, if you ask that question, you're an anti-Semite, right? And your life should be, your career and life should be canceled for daring to ask the most obvious question there is.
That's right, that's right. All right, so here's what the next chapter in the cover-up is gonna look like. And you can base it on some of the latest reporting from friend of the show, Ken Klippenstein over at Substack. The title of his piece, and I urge you all to read it because it's fantastic, National Security Blocks Epstein Files Release. In it, Klippenstein writes that the bill says that if the Attorney General makes a determination that covered information may not be declassified and made available in a manner that protects the national security of the United States, including methods or sources related to national security, the Attorney General, that's Pam Bondi, shall release an unclassified summary for each of the redacted or withheld classified information, as in the Attorney General would get to decide what to release and how to characterize it. So asked by an independent journalist, Michael Tracy, this is what Ken Klippenstein wrote, about a similar carve out for national defense information in earlier legislation back in September, Massey's reply was basically that he had no choice, right? So similar provisions were written in previous legislation that Massey had commented on. Here's what he said. You have to put that in there if you're going to get them to sign it. It's not something I would sit and say, let's put it in there. It's something that when you run the bill past other colleagues and say, can you sign this? In fact, can you get every Democrat to sign it? It's one of those things, or one of the things that was felt was necessary to put in there. And in addition to that, Axios reported just today that Trump's recent directive to the Department of Justice to investigate Epstein's ties to former President Bill Clinton, officials at JP Chase, and others may cause the files to never see the light of day.
Okay,
because they'll be part of a prosecution and investigation.
Now that takes away all excuses for mainstream media. Why is this a national defense case? I thought it was just two random people that happened to be incredibly powerful somehow and got all the most powerful politicians and wealthy people in the world to go and get these favors and get taped and do all this incredibly sophisticated operation all on their own. So if that's the case, obviously it has nothing to do with national defense.
Can I give you a little more detail? Because this was also just published today. I forget the publication that published this. So Alyssa, if you don't mind, can you just text me and let me know? So the title is House Demands Epstein Financial Records from JP Morgan, Deutsche Bank, and US Virgin Islands. The House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform issued a series of subpoenas Tuesday, meaning today, for some of Epstein's financial records Representative James Comer, chairman of the committee, issued subpoenas to JP Morgan Chase, Deutsche Bank, and requested additional documents from US Virgin Islands Attorney General Gordon Rea. JP Morgan Chase began an internal investigation into accounts previously held by Epstein, flagging some 4,700 transactions as suspicious in the process. So my point here is, now the Epstein files are going to be part of an investigation into these banks, which of course that investigation will go nowhere. But as the investigation plays out, our federal government, the executive branch in particular, can basically tell us, buzz off, we can't release this information because it will, mess with our investigation.
Yeah, okay, so what's interesting too is there's no investigation of this guy for what, decades, right? And the minute that we are about to get the files, they're like, oh no, we're doing an investigation. Now all of a sudden we're doing an investigation. Golly gee, does that mean we can't give you the files? Oh, shut up already. Anna, I'll tell you though, I don't think any of that is gonna work. So
it's not gonna work with the electorate, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's right. If they
Just the News published that, by the way, sorry, go ahead.
So if they think they're gonna be cute and they're gonna be like, oh yeah, we voted to release it, but golly gee, we just started this investigation of Bill Clinton and Larry Summers a minute ago, so I guess we're gonna have to bury it for 2 more decades, right? No, the answer is going to be a hard no, a screaming no from the American people. So the next person that tries to block these records is gonna be in for a whirlwind.
Do you guys understand the trick that members of Congress just played on, or thought that they played on all of us? Because the subpoenas were announced just after the House and Senate voted overwhelmingly to force the Justice Department to release more information about the case it built against Epstein. So basically, this allows for all the various members of Congress, both in the House and Senate, who were part of this cover-up, who did not want to vote in favor of releasing the Epstein files. This allows them to look good by voting in favor of transparency, knowing full well the House Oversight Committee is gonna launch an investigation through the direction of Donald Trump into these banks that had ties to Epstein in order to prevent the release of the Epstein files.
Well, what have you been waiting for investigation of the banks? You just occurred to you?
So dirty.
Okay, guys, look, they think we're stupid. And they're used to it because they're used to feeding this crap to mainstream media, who then regurgitates it to you, and you never had any other options for so long. So you literally didn't know all this information that we know now, right? Now it's all in the public, and they think, oh, we're gonna trick them. Now we're gonna start a new investigation, and we're not gonna release it again, and no one's gonna notice. No, brother, everyone's gonna notice. And the next time you block it, we're going to be in a fury over it. Okay, so guys, one more thing about the bipartisan nature of this obvious cover-up. Okay, so the Democrats, hey, way to go! They mainly voted with all of them voted to release the files. That's great, and we got the last Democrat, Grijalva, to break the tie or get us past the vote we needed. Okay, so then the Republicans surrendered. Now, first of all, to the Republicans saying, oh, no, we were gonna vote yes the whole time, we were just waiting. Come on, no one believes that. You were gonna block it, and then you failed because your own voters caught you. And so don't give me that crap about how you're gonna release it. No, the American people made you release the files. Now go to the Democrats, okay, but they all voted yes, right? Why was Ro Khanna the only leader among the Democrats who was insisting on this? If this is such a hurtful issue to Trump or anyone else, and golly gee, they're just so geared up to release these files because they've been on it from day one, right? Why wasn't there a squadron of Democrats? Where's Hakeem Jeffries? Where's anybody in their leadership? Why did every other Democrat avoid it like the plague, and Ro Khanna had to force them to go, hey, you know what? Trump is in the files. Maybe you should vote this way. But even then, they're not at the press conference. They're like, even though the only 2 Republicans for so long on the right side of this were Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene, later joined by Mace and Lauren Boebert, right? In the press conference, the Republicans actually outnumbered the Democrats because there was 2 Republicans and only 1 Democrat. When all the Democrats are voting yes, why? Because come on, man, it's so obvious both parties are covering it up. And I guarantee you if the Democrats were in charge, they would be the ones voting no. And so, again, MAGA, nice job, the voters. Look at how you force them to do it. And the last thing is the hope for the future. There's only one other time in my lifetime that I know that this got done from the outside. And that was when Jon Stewart put so much pressure on them on the 9/11 responders healthcare bill that they were all gonna, in the middle of the night, they were gonna be like, screw the first responders. We're not gonna give them any stupid healthcare. Who cares about 9/11? And then he shined this huge spotlight on. They're like, I mean, yeah, sure. God damn it, I was gonna give that to my tax cuts to my rich donors. But okay, fine, here's a nickel and a dime to the first. This is the second time that it's ever happened.
Yeah.
And this was not led by, like, sure, there are people in the media who wanted it, we did, a lot of right-wingers did, etc. But it was mainly led by the voters.
It's always
and the voters roared from both sides and said, no. We've had enough of this crap, and you're gonna release those goddamn files. Stay on them.
Yes.
Stay on them, because they're gonna try 8 different tricks. And we already know the answer. And why are they hiding it this assiduously? Come on, guys. If the American people find out that Israel did it, there's going to be a rage. And so they don't want it, because they all want to help Israel and protect Israel. All of mainstream media and almost all of Congress and both parties. Super obvious.
They don't even try to hide it. Anyway, when we come back, we'll talk about the revisionist history that took place at the White House today as the butcher in Saudi Arabia visited Donald Trump.
If you're the president of the United States, you can declassify just by thinking about it. If you're the president of the United States, you can declassify just by thinking about it.
All right, back on TYT. Bart, good call there. You can declassify things by just thinking about it, but the Epstein files, no. You can't, under a penalty of law. There's a billion things you have to jump through to declassify them, and it still hasn't happened. Because poor, beloved Israel is a victim, so they have to be protected.
I should probably, I don't know, maybe I should tease this, but tomorrow I'm gonna go on Piers Morgan's show, which is, obviously there's gonna be a debate. I don't know about what, but it's gonna be fiery, I'm sure. But later, I'm going to engage in a debate with Alan Dershowitz about the Epstein files for Al Arabia.
Oh boy. Okay, Alan better have his big boy pants on.
You better take a stimulant and be ready.
And I didn't mean it. Have your pants on, Alan. Okay.
Oh my God, don't.
Okay, so.
That's not what I meant.
Anyway, yeah. Gee, I wonder if he'll be unbiased or defend Israel 280%, call you an anti-Semite, call all Americans anti-Semites. We all know the trick, right? So by the way, Anna's interview with Tucker Carlson is on tyt.com/press. And also my appearance on Piers Morgan yesterday, where I took them to task. The people that are
Officer Tatum is just
look, guys,
embarrassing.
No. What's awesome about the online media is now everybody gets caught. So when you're sitting there and you're like, oh, Officer Tatum's with Bubba now, we all know you're with Bubba, and we know that Bubba's actually Bibi. So sorry. So when all of a sudden somebody's like, oh no, how could you possibly say this about Israel? Israel's the most important thing. You're like, oh, okay, they're paying you. I got it. That's it. There's no other reason to do it. Either you're more loyal to Israel or they're paying you. There's no other reason at all. Okay, Buddy X Locondo says, no withholding of evidence is going to work much longer. The population is too fed up and it's too clear what's going on. Their only hope is to completely wipe everything they can. As someone that isn't a computer person, I'm not sure why they wouldn't have done that already. No, I'm sure that they butchered it, but we'll see how it turns out. Jack Callahan says, remember Senator Al Franken was banned from the Senate for mimicking grabbing a female soldier's breast?
Yes, I do remember that, yes.
But if a powerful official rapes a young child, there's no accountability? I mean, Jack, that's a great point. And isn't it weird that no one in mainstream media asked the question Jack Callahan asked in Louisiana? I mean, these things are obvious to any person unless you're a reporter. The same reporters who are like, money in politics, does that affect any of the politicians? I mean, look, either our reporters are the most corrupt people in the country, or they're the dumbest people in the country. Oh, when you give $1 million or 10 million to a politician, they might vote based on that? No, that sounds conspiratorial, said the dumbest person in America. Okay, So many here. Bloated Ego says, it's amazing and very sad how many ginos, journalists in name only, oh, I might have to use that, and that's going to be dangerous. There are in mainstream media. Journalists in name only is genius, totally.
But like, gino, really? Like
Gino, that's what it is. What am I going to do? You wanted me to spell C-I-N-O? Okay, Michael Napier says the anagraphic should be a grain of salt. And Wang Jun disagrees and says it should be the whole enchilada.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
Spicy.
If you're the president of the United States, you can declassify just by thinking about it.
All right, back on TYT, Cenk Uygur, Anna Kasparian with you guys. Also, Melody Loves Music. Thank you for gifting 10 memberships on YouTube. You're an American hero. Thank you. All right, Casper, what's next? Oh, sorry. I'll tell you two things, guys. So number one, a member shout out, Hannah Hartman. This is super fun. Organized a TYT watch party with, I'm gonna butcher this, Tuscarovas.
You nailed it. No, that was great.
Oh, God, you guys are enjoying that at the watch party. County Young Democrats in Tuscarawas County, Ohio. She's hoping to make this a monthly event. I love gathering people up and watching Young Turks together. So Hannah, thanks for doing that. That's beautiful.
I love that you guys are getting together regardless of what you're doing. It's nice that you're watching us, but getting together, just being social, that's really important. We need to find ways to get people out of the house and together,
100%. And then I want to tell you about Chapter. As you know, they're our sponsor. It's almost up, guys. December 7th, I think, is the end of Medicare enrollment. So you got to do it now. Please save some money, okay? 707 TYT help. If you're on the right plan, they tell you you're on the right plan and you have peace of mind. It's just 20 minutes out of your day. It's free. And people on average save $1,100. Our own members are telling us that they saved right around that number. We did the research for you. These are the right guys. So 707 TYT help, 707 TYT help. Save about $1,100 from your Medicare plan or your parents' Medicare plan. Call them today. All right, Anna, what's next?
Well, there was a little bit of revisionist history in the White House today. I mean, honestly, the more you think about American history, a lot of revisionism happens in the White House. With that in mind, let's get to this.
Your Royal Highness, the US intelligence concluded that you orchestrated the brutal murder of a journalist. 9/11 families are furious that you are here in the Oval Office. Why should Americans trust you?
You're mentioning somebody that was extremely controversial. A lot of people didn't like that gentleman that you're talking about. Whether you like him or didn't like him, things happen, but he knew nothing about it. And we can leave it at that. You don't have to embarrass our guest by asking a question like that.
Today, President Donald Trump welcomed Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman to the White House, and in a truly extraordinary claim, made it appear as though MBS knew nothing about Jamal Khashoggi, a United States resident and Washington Post journalist who was killed as a result of MBS ordering it to happen. Now, before we get to the details, including what our intelligence community has to say about it, or did say about it, your 2 cents, Cenk?
I prefer leaders who don't chop people up. So I just want to see in this story, are there Trump voters who say, no, we love Saudi Muslim fundamentalists who dismember people as long as they're helping the Trump family get rich? I'm just curious. Or there's special allies. Let's find out.
So Trump rolled out the red carpet for Mohammed bin Salman. There's no question about it. There was a greeting from the US Marine Band. They had a formal dinner, very, very nice. Now, during their meeting in the Oval Office, a reporter from ABC pressed Trump and MBS, Mohammed bin Salman, on the 2018 murder of Jamal Khashoggi, which took place inside the Saudi consulate in Istanbul, Turkey. Now, a team of 15 Saudi agents flew to Istanbul on government aircraft in October of that year and killed the journalist inside the consulate. After that, investigators concluded that Khashoggi was restrained after a struggle and injected with a large amount of a drug, which resulted in a fatal overdose. Then they proceeded to dismember his body and hand the dismembered body parts over to a local collaborator for disposal. MBS called it a painful incident.
Yeah, well, I guess that's true.
Be painful to hear, anyone that been losing his life for, no real purpose or not in a legal way, and it's been painful for us in Saudi Arabia. We've did all the right steps of investigation, etc., in Saudi Arabia, and we've improved our system to be sure that nothing happened like that, and it's painful and it's a huge mistake, and we are doing our best that this doesn't happen again.
And of course, President Donald Trump, just as he did in his first term, provided cover for Mohammed bin Salman and claimed that he had no knowledge of the murder, despite the fact that our own intelligence agencies, under Trump's watch, by the way, said otherwise. The US intelligence officials determined that the Saudi crown prince likely approved the killing by Saudi agents of Khashoggi inside the Saudi consulate in Istanbul, according to US findings that were declassified in 2021 at the start of the Biden administration. Trump officials during his first administration refused to release the report. Now, by the way, Biden had campaigned on the promise of essentially bringing MBS to justice for what had happened, but did not do anything at all. To be fair, I don't know if he remembered that he made that promise. Now, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence report also said the following: we base this assessment on the Crown Prince's control of decision making in the kingdom, the direct involvement of a key advisor and members of Mohammed bin Salman's protective detail in the operation, and the Crown Prince's support for using violent measures to silence dissidents abroad, including Khashoggi. The CIA made the same assessment and went so far as to say that MBS personally ordered the killing of Jamal Khashoggi. Officials at the time said that the conclusion was partially based on a recording provided by the Turkish government along with other American intelligence. The CIA also examined a call placed from inside the consulate after the killing by an alleged member of the Saudi hit team, Maher Mutreb, a security official who has often been seen at the Crown Prince's side and who was photographed entering and leaving the consulate on the day of the killing. But even at that time, Trump refused to acknowledge the findings, and in a recorded interview with Bob Woodward in 2020, Trump bragged about protecting MBS from scrutiny. He bragged about it. He bragged about lying to the American people about it, okay? And then today hosted this butcher inside the White House. What, 1 week after he hosted a different butcher, an Al-Qaeda terrorist inside the White House? Don't you feel so great? Aren't you tired of winning, America? This is what he said back in 2020, according to Bob Woodward. I've gotten involved very much. I know everything about the whole situation. Asked what happened exactly, Trump reasoned or responded, I saved his ass, meaning MBS, that's what happened. Woodward asked, saved whose ass? Trump says MBS. They were coming down on him very strongly, but I was able to get Congress to leave him alone. I was able to get them to stop. You know, I'm very friendly with those guys. Congress, I'm very friendly with Congress. And today Trump went so far as to praise MBS as a champion of human rights. I don't want to go to that video, we're running out of time. But why? Why would he want to protect MBS in the first place? I don't know, it might have something to do with all the business dealings that the Trump family has with Saudi Arabia in 2024 alone. Trump and his extended family collected an estimated $50 million or $50 million deals. I'm sorry, $50 million from deals connected to Saudi Arabia. And just last month, the Trump Organization also announced plans for a Trump Plaza to be built in Saudi Arabia. And how could we forget Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner also received a $2 billion investment from the Saudi government for his investment fund or hedge fund.
Yeah. Now, the reaction to this story by American politicians outside of Trump and American media is a rational one. So credit where credit is due. They're like, okay, you chopped up a journalist that worked for an American paper. We're all outraged. Good, you should be outraged. We're gonna hold this foreign leader that's coming to visit the White House accountable. Good, you should hold him accountable. We're gonna hold Trump accountable. Good, you should. Okay, now let me ask you a series of questions. If it was an Israeli leader, do you think that it would have been the same reaction? Or do you think they would have said in this case, no, that's anti-Saudiist? Or if someone made the absurd, ludicrous claim that it's anti-Saudiist to accuse bin Salman of this, everybody would laugh them out of the room, right? And they should. Or let's go with something that's real, Islamophobia. If they say, wait a minute,
that's a good point. That is a good point, right? Like I obviously am sensitive to hatred of all forms, including Islamophobia. I never for 1 second question anyone as being Islamophobic for criticizing the US relationship and alliance with Saudi Arabia. Not for a second, no.
And you shouldn't. That doesn't make any sense. The Saudis, although they claim to be a Muslim state, are just a foreign government, right? Run by dictators. So of course you should be allowed to question them. Of course it's not Islamophobic. And then one more thing about it. Now there is an awful stereotype about Muslims being barbaric and savage, and it's in a lot of Western press written all the way for hundreds of years. Oh, the Turks are coming, the Arabs are coming, they're savages. So trope. Now, do I think it's a trope? Of course not, right? No, it's just a thing that they actually did do it, right?
Yep.
But would Israel get a different standard? Would right now there would be hundreds of pundits screaming into their TV, trope, trope, but yet no one mentioned trope in this case. No one mentioned Islamophobia, no one mentioned anything, nor should they. So now, last thing, turn to Benjamin Netanyahu. He's come and visited the White House about 100 times, right? Did anyone ask him, not about one journalist killed, but 241 journalists killed just in the last couple of years by the IDF? That is a record number according to all organizations, including Committee to Protect Journalists. That is more than all the journalists killed in all other conflicts in the world combined. It's 241 times worse than what Saudi Arabia did. And Khashoggi, while working for an American paper, was not an American. And Shireen Abu Akleh was an American, and the Israelis did assassinate her. And our government confirmed that it was the IDF who assassinated her. Yet no one ever asks when Benjamin Netanyahu comes to the White House, hey, why did your government murder an American journalist?
Well, they don't want to be anti-Semites, of course.
But that's the point, guys. Because then if you ask a super legitimate question of a Saudi leader, they go, oh, bravo. You ask a super legitimate question of an Israeli leader, they're like, you're an anti-Semite and your life should be ruined.
By the way, I should note that after she asked her question, Trump had asked her, who are you with? Where are you from? She said ABC News. Fake. ABC News is fake news. ABC News is fake news. So now, she did get pushback from Trump because he doesn't like to be asked difficult questions, which is why he surrounded himself with friendly media outlets. I'll just put it that way, for the most part.
Now, you see, guys, we're leading by example. Is it that hard to be unbiased? No. You call out the Saudi government, you call out the Israeli government. You call out both governments.
Yep.
And you don't hide behind, oh, Islamophobia, oh, anti-Semitism. They're foreign governments. And it's the job of journalists to ask questions and to call them out. And to hold our leaders accountable for supporting disgusting leaders of other countries. There should not be an exception for any country in that regard.
All right, when we come back from the break, we'll talk a little bit about the ongoing battle between Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, who was a longtime ally of Trump's, and President Donald Trump, who is very upset that she isn't going along with everything he wants her to go along with. We'll be right back.
Epstein emailed he received a gift from Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman.
Back on TYT during the social break here. Let's go to Twitch for a second. Just here for the free drink says, hey Cenk, to lighten the mood a little, Arthur's Tavern in Hoboken is now an Abercrombie and Fitch. That doesn't lighten the mood. That is a very depressing thing to say. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, Arthur's Tavern is an excellent steakhouse in New Jersey. And I actually got arrested outside of that steakhouse. That's a fun story. Is it fun? For the members, that I'll do it in the next bonus episode. Somebody remind me, and the next time we have one, I'll tell you guys that story of how I got arrested there. And I love Arthur's Tavern. I wish there was more of them, not less of them. But thank you for the heads up on it. Okay, now on YouTube member section, I'll read blind here. Kevin Shea says Clay Higgins will go down in history as the lone vote to protect pedophiles. His family must be so proud. Marianne Valdez Fowley says, oh, thank God you two are back. The best duo. Thank you. You're wonderful for saying that. Anthony Aguilar. Anthony Aguilar says, I hope this release motivates more Americans to call for the end of the Trump regime and his crooked cabinet. I assume that's Lieutenant Colonel Aguilar.
Why? I mean, it could be.
Yeah. No, I know you watch the show, so amazing. Thank you for your heroism and your work for America. We love you for it, and thank you for writing in with that. And yes, let's find out the motives of everyone protecting the guilty. My Love Nebraska says, I'm sorry, I definitely don't trust either party on this issue. Yep. David Michelle says, even if it makes it to Cheeto's desk and signs it, he's going to do everything to prevent it from coming out. Chuck Dang, quiet piggy, said this squealing, filthy hog. Now, if you're gonna get, of course, if you're a Trump fan, you're not gonna get upset by that. Good for the goose, good for the gander, right? Or are you gonna say, oh, you can say that to a female reporter, but not to our beloved dear leader, because his feelings are too precious? No, I support treating everyone equally. Amor Fati says Dropsite News is the best source and most trusted.
So good.
Excellent. Yeah, Ryan Grimm, Jeremy Scahill, and all the others doing beautiful work. Amazing journalism. You want to know who the best journalists in the country are? Just find out who mainstream media hates.
Yeah, for real.
And the other guy that they hate is David Sirota at The Lever. Every time I talk to a mainstream media reporter, if I mention David Sirota's name, they're like nails on a chalkboard. Like, oh, I hate that guy. Why? Because they actually reveal real stories, real corruption, real problems in Washington. It's embarrassing for them. It's the same reason why Obama hates Bernie. He's like, oh my God, that guy would fight for real change. That's embarrassing. Don't do that. Then people will find out I didn't do anything on purpose, right? So that's exactly what Dropsite News is doing to Washington journalists right now. Christina Lisa Brown says, TYSM, TYT fam, staff and hosts for making me a better person for myself, my family, and my community. God bless you all. It's an amazing thing to say. Hey guys, we're doing Operation Joy tonight, by the way. Make sure you stick around for that. That's gonna be great. Yvonne said, hopefully now those responsible for the abuse and trafficking will be held to account no matter who they are. Yvonne, we hope, but that would be an amazing day in America. Haley McFarland says, Anna, thank you for having such a drive and loud voice, screaming hard truth no matter who did it. I respect you.
Thank you.
Ehab Elswizy says, Americans across the political spectrum are saying Epstein is not a partisan issue, but CNN and Fox and all but 3 congresspeople are saying, nope, this is a partisan issue.
Epstein emailed he received a gift from Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman.
All right, back on TYT, Jen and Anna with you guys. And a little Mac too, you guys have been so wonderfully generous. So I'm gonna read this one super chat here. We appreciate you so much. He said, I am who I am, but I love that TYT supports who I am. For all my flaws, I see that you see and accept. Love you all and will always have your back. Anna, I see you also. Your husband is the man.
Oh,
so wonderful comments. We appreciate you guys and we love your generosity and just your generosity of spirit. Being here, trying to make a difference, believing in things like Operation Hope, Operation Joy, etc. B-Ball Junkies, thank you for joining through the join button. We appreciate you. Dragon Old Balls, that's hilarious. Sent 5 Young Turks memberships on YouTube. We appreciate you. And guys, one last quick thing here. Noble Mobile, that's our new cell phone partner, basically. A lot of people of you are switching to, you're checking it out. Finish it, trust me, it only takes 5 minutes. If you're paying more than $50, there's no need for it. I have the same phone, same number, same contacts, absolutely same service, pretty much the same service everywhere. Not pretty much, exactly the same service everywhere. So there's no reason not to switch and save a lot of money. And plus, they give you money back on top of the $50 a month being so low to begin with if you don't use all your data. TYT.com/switch, TYT.com/switch. Switch from Verizon and AT&T and break their monopoly. All right, Anna.
Let's talk a little bit about the latest in this feud between Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene and President Donald Trump.
I was called a traitor by a man that I fought for 6 years for standing with these women and refusing to take my name off the discharge petition. Let me tell you what a traitor is. A traitor is an American that serves foreign countries and themselves. A patriot is an American that serves the United States of America and Americans like the women standing behind me.
Look, Cenk, I've asked you once and I'm gonna ask you again. Is Marjorie Taylor Greene mommy? Like, what is going? That was amazing. I love that part of her speech, which I'll give you more information about in a second, but your 2 cents.
So look, my 2 cents is that those 3 people there, Massey, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Ro Khanna, are American heroes. And notice that there are only 3 of them at that press conference. Well, everyone but one person technically voted yes, but why did no one go to take credit? Isn't that weird for the most popular bill that I've seen maybe in my lifetime?
And of course, that bill's the transparency in the Epstein files, releasing the Epstein files, which overwhelmingly passed in both the House and the Senate today. But the House Oversight Committee just launched an investigation into various banks that have ties to Jeffrey Epstein, which could prevent the release of the files because they're part of an ongoing investigation. But nonetheless, the portion of Marjorie Taylor Greene's speech that you just heard was from a longer speech that she gave this morning ahead of the House holding that vote. And in it, obviously, she touched on this ongoing feud that she's been having with President Donald Trump because Trump has been one of the biggest obstacles in the release of the Epstein files in recent months. Now, the Congresswoman suggested this morning during this press conference that Epstein survivors with Epstein survivors, that the real traitor here is the one who seems to be working on behalf of a foreign government. And as we know, Trump has seemed to prioritize the Israeli government over the American people over and over again. So this came after a weekend of this back and forth between Trump and Greene, including some of Trump's pretty gross comments. So he claimed he had gone. He claimed that she had gone far left, which is hilarious. She has not gone far left. If anything, she ran on the idea of being America first. I do notice that she has softened her rhetoric, and I think she's doing that for a good reason, because she's sick of being part of the gross, toxic partisan divides in the country. She wants to kind of tone things down so Americans unite on causes that they want solutions for. She even apologized for her past rhetoric when she was on CNN and even got backlash about that from Megyn Kelly, which was really upsetting because Megyn Kelly apparently had a problem with her doing the apology on CNN. No, she's doing the right thing. And there have been multiple occasions in which I've been on different outlets. Some of them have been so-called conservative or right-leaning, and I have taken responsibility for stories that I have gotten wrong in the past. That doesn't make me a bad person. That makes you a person of good moral character, if you ask me. But nonetheless, let's get to more of Trump's claims. So again, he said Marjorie "Traitor" Greene is a disgrace to our great Republican Party, which is why today she defended herself from those accusations and insinuated that Trump had abandoned Epstein's the Epstein survivors essentially, and the America First agenda overall. She also said that this fight over the Epstein files was absolutely ripping MAGA apart. Take a look.
This has been one of the most destructive things to MAGA, is watching the man that we supported early on, 3 elections, for people that stood hours, slept in their cars to go to rallies, have fought for truth and transparency and to hold what we consider a corrupt government accountable. Watching this actually turn into a fight has ripped MAGA apart. And the only thing that will speak to the powerful, courageous women behind me is when action is actually taken to release these files, and the American people won't tolerate any other bull. That's where we are today.
I love that, and I think she's right about how Americans won't tolerate any more of this BS, because there really has been this overwhelming grassroots, and it's not even organized, which is amazing about it, right? Grassroots effort to pressure members of Congress and the federal government overall to release the Epstein files. This isn't happening because members of Congress decided to do it out of the kindness of their own hearts. But unfortunately, what I think is gonna happen is there's gonna be other efforts in trying to engage in this cover up, namely through this phony investigation into banks that had alleged ties to Epstein in order to say that the files are part of an active investigation. So we'll see how that all plays out. But I think the backlash from the public will be extreme to that type of plot.
Yeah, they're messing with the wrong public, okay? So the American public has basically awoken, and now we're watching. We're watching everything that's happening. We don't need mainstream media anymore. Now I hope that you all realize by now, they're not in the news business, they're in the covering up the news business. And so like they told us that we should hate all these people, that we should hate Marjorie Taylor Greene and we should hate Tom Massey. Well, I don't hate them. So I might disagree with a huge percentage of their votes, but give me someone honest as a legislator over someone dishonest pretending to be on my side.
Yes.
Every time,
yes.
Okay? Because the Democrats, they pretend to be on our side in terms of policy. Do they ever pass those policies? Nope, never. Oh, golly gee, there was nothing we could do. There was nothing we could do. No, you're not on our side. You're on the donor's side. And whose side is the mainstream media on? On the donor's side. They all cover, oh no, those politicians are honest. My ass, they're honest. So I saw who the honest politicians were right here. So everyone in Washington wanted to cover up the Epstein files. Everyone in the country wanted the Epstein files released. It was donors versus voters extraordinaire. WrestleMania 1, okay? And who were the only 3 legislators who stepped up and insisted on it and fought for it? And as they were fighting for it, everybody said, oh, you're not gonna get that. Oh, look at these fringe guys, Ro Khanna, Tom Massey, Marjorie Taylor Greene. You should hate them and you should hate each other, but we're not gonna give you the files. Well, they broke you and we broke you.
I mean, Massey and Greene in particular are risking their careers to do this. I mean, they're now facing primary challengers, or we don't know exactly who will be challenging Marjorie Taylor Greene, but we know that there's already a Miriam Adelson funded effort to oust Thomas Massey from his seat in Congress.
They've already spent $2 million and the race is a year from now. $2 million in a random rural district in Kentucky by pro-Israel donors. Gee, I wonder why. But no, they don't control anything. If you listen to mainstream media, no, you should ignore all of the evidence and the facts because that's what reporters do. Do they fund 90% of Congress? Yes, they do. Do they vote with them every time? Yes, they do. That's the main thing mainstream media doesn't want you to find out. I don't know why, but I guess they think that they work for Israel.
Greene was also asked if she takes President Donald Trump at his word when he says that should Congress pass the release of the Epstein files through legislation, which both the House and the Senate did today, he would sign the legislation into law. She says this, and I think this is a good headspace for all of us to be in when it comes to our representatives, members of Congress, and our president. I only take people's actions seriously, no longer words.
Yeah, I mean, that's it, period. I'm not interested, and my God, does that apply to Democrats? A lot of never delivers. And then the Republicans, oh, we're gonna release the Epstein files. The Democrats are covering up. They said, oh, we're in charge? Oh, cover them up, don't let them know. Oh, God damn it, Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene caught us. They're anti-Semites.
Yeah.
You should cancel them. You know what, once Ro Khanna, if you don't know this, it's important for you to know it, because this is how the thuggery works behind the scenes, and the media are the top thugs. So not only, again, do they not tell you, they actually aid and abet the thugs, because once Ro Khanna said release the Epstein files, all of a sudden charges of anti-Semitism arose. But wait, I thought Epstein didn't have anything to do with Israel. But all of a sudden, the guy says, let's release the Epstein files, and here comes mainstream media and everyone else to smear him. Huh, what a coincidence.
Yeah.
But we found 3 heroes out of 535 members of Congress. And apparently they were enough. So next time, learn that lesson. You don't need that many people inside Congress. You need a lot of people outside of Congress all pushing together. And when they try to divide you and go, you're not allowed to agree with Marjorie Taylor Greene. You're not allowed to have her on your show. You have to cancel her. No, my ass, I have to cancel her. I don't have to do a goddamn thing. She represents the American people. I love it. Let's go get some, okay?
Yep.
Yeah, so media can suck it.
All right, so okay. Let's take our break. When we come back for the second hour of the show, Ben Shapiro weighs in on the possible release of the Epstein files. He seems to be against it, well, he has been kind of against it, but more importantly, he wants to pour cold water on something that we wholeheartedly believe here at TYT, that Epstein had ties to the government of Israel.
Let me guess, anti-Semitic.
We'll be back.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
Rich and powerful men abusing, assaulting, and abandoning young women. These rich and powerful men donate to the politicians in Washington, D.C., play golf with the elites in Washington, D.C. They are foreign leaders who we don't want to offend. They interact with our intelligence agencies that we don't want to disobey. There is something rotten in Washington.
And are people still talking about this guy, this creep?
All those congressmen you just saw there are on the record as protecting the child rapists who were clients of Epstein. They have not prosecuted a single person outside of Epstein and Maxwell.
Yep.
Not one.
Is Trump engaging in this cover-up because he's in the Epstein files?
I don't understand why the Jeffrey Epstein case would be of interest to anybody. It's pretty boring stuff.
So as the government keeps telling us, yeah, there's other people. Yeah, they raped those girls. So what? We're gonna cover up for them. But why are you guys so mad?
A nation that chooses impunity for the rich and the powerful at the expense of our children is a nation that has lost its moral purpose. Are you on the side of the people? Are you on the side of America's children? Or are you on the side of the rich and powerful who've had their thumb on the scales and shafted Americans for decades?
The rest of the news media says you should not fight for positive change. If you do, you're not really a reporter or a journalist, because reporters and journalists don't care what happens. I don't agree. That's not written anywhere. That's not a law. It's just a rule that they invented so that reporters didn't actually challenge the people that are in power. Well, we don't agree with that. We think we should challenge the people in power, that actually makes you a better journalist, not a worse one. In a media landscape poisoned by corporate influence, only one show stands apart from the rest, The Young Turks. As the longest running daily news show on the internet, The Young Turks is an impactful voice of unfiltered truth, one you can trust to deliver the daily news with authenticity and honesty. For nearly 2 decades, TYT has been breaking the mold of media. We're not here to echo the powerful or the elite, we're here to challenge them. Our mission is to give you accurate news, fight the establishment, and cover stories that mainstream media keeps you in the dark about, which matter to your everyday life. We've remained a leader in online news because of our established credibility with an engaged audience looking for alternative media that represents the real concerns of everyday Americans. Listen to The Young Turks, a news show that only answers to you on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
How do you know if you're a populist? Easy. Do you work for the donor class? You don't? Great, you're a populist. Okay, so the establishment takes money from the donors and serves the donors. A mainstream media takes money from advertisers, and they are giant corporations themselves, and they work for themselves, and they work for the powerful. If you care about the average person, and you want the average person to have better health care, better wages, a better life, and you hate corruption, congrats, you're a populist.
I am scary. I am threatening. I'm Darth Vader.
Tucker Carlson, a terrible friend.
All right, back on TYT, Jen and Anna with you guys. Also, Trey Uzi and Mac Mitchell. Thanks, guys, for hitting the join button below the video on YouTube. You guys are amazing. We love having you guys as part of the show. Everybody else, you can do it very easily. And by the way, get a couple months off of annual membership at tyt.com/join. tyt.com/join. All right, Anna.
Let's get to our next story.
Marjorie Taylor Greene is making pretty clear what she thinks is happening here. Here she was blaming Israel for Jeffrey Epstein. Again, without any evidence. And if there's evidence, present it. I'm all in favor of all Jeffrey Epstein files being released, all of it, no evidence whatsoever, because she doesn't like Israel and also because she has some peculiar views, shall we say, about Jews.
I too dislike Israel deeply because its government is a genocidal, disgusting government that has a military that has committed atrocities, genocide, and all sorts of horrible, horrific, inhumane behavior and activities, using American resources to do it, by the way. But regardless of that, I don't judge my opinion on the Epstein files based on how I feel about Israel. I base it on the facts. And in fact, there's been quite a bit of reporting in recent weeks that ties a direct link between Epstein and the Israeli government. But Jake, what are your 2 cents?
Yeah, my 2 cents is that Dropsite News already broke the story about how Jeffrey Epstein was working with Israel. What did Jeffrey Epstein want America to do? Ben Shapiro won't tell you, but we will, and we'll show you why he's obviously preposterously wrong. And you all know what he's gonna say. Everybody's an anti-Semite.
All right, well, for those who are interested in being smeared as anti-Semites because they believe in the truth, let's get to the details. So the clip that you just watched featuring Ben Shapiro was from yesterday's episode of his show, which was titled "Trump Ends MTG's Career," which is a little bit out of touch if you ask me, but nonetheless.
A lot out of touch.
As you already saw, Shapiro denied that Epstein has ties to the Israeli government, but
How would he know?
Well, actually,
How would he know?
I think he probably does know and is intentionally lying to us, but we'll put that aside for now. I don't know what's in his head. Maybe actually, you know what? I want to be better. I want to be better than that. I'll be generous and take his word for it and just assume that maybe he doesn't know about this reporting.
But
okay,
I wouldn't come out and tell you, I am positive that the Turkish government has nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. How would I know? I'm not positive about anything because we haven't seen any of the files. We don't know any of the evidence. How do you know they didn't do it? How do you know Saudis didn't do it? How do you know the CIA didn't do it? But you seem absolutely certain, Ben. How would you gain that certainty?
So let's get to some of the headlines that were featured over at Dropsite News because they poured over the Ehud Barak emails to Epstein, which of course were leaked as part of a hack. They also reported on the various documents and emails that were released by both Democrats and Republicans in the House Oversight Committee. So with that in mind, I mean, this is based on hard evidence. They were able to report the following stories. Epstein helped broker an Israeli security agreement with Mongolia. Interesting. Epstein helped Israel build a back channel to Russia during the Syrian civil war. That's not all. Epstein helped Israel sell a surveillance state to the Ivory Coast. Here's this other one, by the way.
That's weird. He seems to be working with one particular country.
Quite a bit. An Israeli spy stayed at Epstein's Manhattan residence for weeks at a time. That was a story that I reported on just last week. And then today, oh wait, there's more. Oh no, there's one more that was published today. Jeffrey Epstein pursued Swiss Rothschild Bank to finance Israeli cyber weapons empire. Epstein to Ehud Barak. Ariane de Rothschild said to me, if Ehud wants to make serious money, he will have to build a relationship with me. Take time so that we can truly understand one another. It's pretty incredible how many deals he engaged in on behalf of Israel, a country that Ben thinks Epstein had no ties to whatsoever.
So look, what's amazing is that the emails are indisputable. And I've now said this a bunch of times because I'm blown away by it. Epstein could get a meeting with almost any world leader. Mongolians, no problem. Ivory Coast, no problem. Vladimir Putin, no problem. And in fact, Ehud Barak not only had trouble, the former Israeli prime minister, getting those meetings, but Epstein, more deeply connected to the Israeli government than even the former prime minister, could get those meetings at the drop of a hat. That means he was one of the most powerful men on earth. And literally every single instance is him helping one country. And it isn't Mongolia, and it isn't the Ivory Coast, and it isn't America. It's Israel. So there's no question anymore. You could say, look, I don't know that Epstein was being paid by Mossad or technically worked for Mossad, but you cannot say that he wasn't working with Israel. And by the way, what was his top objective? Well, he had a lot of objectives, but certainly one of the top objectives in the emails is getting America to bomb Syria and getting America to bomb Iran. Oh, look, those are the two things that Israel wanted most. And there's Epstein working with Israel to do the thing they want, which is for America to fight their wars for them. That's not a trope. That's literally what they did, and it's in their own emails.
So did Marjorie Taylor Greene plant these stories and just make up an entire narrative about Epstein's ties to Israel because she dislikes Israel? Or could it just be that these documents, these emails, everything that's been released through the House Oversight Committee that Drop Site News has been poring over confirms something that's been long suspected, that Epstein was working with the Israelis? So let me give you some more information here. So Shapiro doesn't think that Epstein had any connections to intelligence, period.
Oh no, he knows. He knows. How do you know about it?
There's evidence presented. I'm all in favor of all Jeffrey Epstein files being released, all of it. The reason I think the president didn't want all of that released is because he was tired of talking about it and because his own FBI had told him there was no there. But I'm all in favor of more transparency on the Epstein files. And anybody who was involved, if in fact there was, as the sort of most ridiculous suppositions, evidence-free suppositions suggest, some sort of intelligence agency operation to underage people in order to blackmail people, which is the theory here. If that's true, whoever engaged in it is evil, full stop, bar none. That's just basic morality. But again, the evidence-free nature of this thing is the reason why it is being trafficked by people like Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Okay, now we're screwed, Anna. That means they definitely cleanse the files. Because there's no way that Ben Shapiro is gonna say, oh yeah, release them all, I don't mind at all. And you know what, if anyone was up to no good, they are evil, bar none, right? No, that means he already knows Israel wiped him clean.
I mean, we don't know what's going on in his head.
And all right, that's my speculation, to be fair.
That's a speculation, and I don't want to put words in his mouth. No, I think he's entirely wrong in his commentary here. But I don't know what's going on in his head. I don't know what he knows and doesn't know. What I do know, though, is that he has this habit of immediately dismissing legitimate concerns that do have merit by just blowing it off as, oh, this person just hates Israel. In fact, go ahead.
Yeah, just real quick, Anna. I mean, before, same thing with Trump. Trump and Shapiro, same timeline, right? Don't release them, it's no big deal. Come on, stop it, nobody should look. Don't worry about it, no. All of a sudden, oh, we're good, you can release them all now. I'm sure that there's nothing bad in them. Okay, oh boy, now I'm really worried, okay.
So, Let's get to the more of his commentary about Marjorie Taylor Greene, because as I've been alluding to over and over again, his argument in regard to Marjorie Taylor Greene's motivations here is that she doesn't really care about Epstein survivors. She's actually concerned about destroying the reputation of Israel because she hates Israel so much. So let's take a quick look at him make that argument. Maybe he's gonna cite something that's legitimate here. Maybe there's something more than ad hominem attacks. Who knows? Let's take a look.
This brings us to what's actually going on under the surface here. Marjorie Taylor Greene started caring about the Epstein files in a serious way with regard to President Trump about the time that she got angry at President Trump's foreign policy with regard to the Middle East. That seems to be the pattern here. She, Thomas Massey, and a wide variety of commentators seem to get very exercised about President Trump and the Epstein files by claiming that President Trump is in fact enthralled to Israel and that what is happening with the Epstein files, that it's some sort of Mossad agency operation. And what made them mad is that President Trump actually is not anti-Israel the same way that they are. She, of course, believes that the United States is enthralled to the Israeli, particularly President Trump. She thinks that President Trump is somehow controlled by the Israelis.
Right. She's right about that. Look, it's not just Marjorie Taylor Greene on the right who see the connection between Epstein and Israel. Megyn Kelly, who has now been a target of Mark Levin, even though she's a Zionist who supports Israel, also has said on the record that she believes that there's a connection to Israel. Charlie Kirk, before he died, before he was viciously assassinated, he's on the record saying that he sees a connection between Epstein and the Israeli government. So let's just call a spade a spade. This isn't something that Marjorie Taylor Greene made up out of whole cloth in order to smear Israel.
No, look, man, 5 years ago, I wouldn't have believed this if my life depended on it. I would have thought it was the craziest thing I ever heard. Then you start looking at the actual facts that are all already in the public sphere. So, like, I didn't know that Ghislaine Maxwell's dad was the most legendary Mossad spy that, like, in history. He's the one that stole America's nuclear secrets and gave them to Israel. That's why they have the nuke. He got a giant state funeral when he passed away. We don't think that's relevant? Like, I'm not saying that, that proves it for sure and the sins of the father are passed on to the daughter. But that's not relevant as to which country they might have been working with on top of. If by itself you might say, maybe not. So of course, maybe not, right? But combined with all the emails where Epstein's like, I'm helping Israel start a war that America will fight. I mean, and then the other one, the accomplice's dad is a legendary Mossad spy. And Ehud Barak stayed at his house 30 times. And there's a literal Mossad spy that stays for weeks at his house. And that, by the way, he's more powerful then because he arranges meetings for them with American officials, both Republicans and Democrats, in the Biden White House, and Obama White House. A guy that powerful is a rando working by himself with no intelligence agencies at all. Look, you can convince me that it's CIA and CIA alone. You cannot convince me that there are no intelligence agencies involved here and both parties have been covering it up. And that, you have all of this record of him working with one particular country, but people are randomly picking that country because they're all anti-Semites? Come on, that's absurd. No, you're picking that country because of all the emails where he says, I'm working with Israel to do X, Y, and Z and arranges meetings for the Israelis on this and that and other thing. So of course it's related to Israel, of course. And so, but Ben Shapiro, to be fair to him, is doing what mainstream media is doing, but he's just doing it out loud. Mainstream media just doesn't say it, but like in those exact words, but what do? They go, Marjorie Taylor Greene, illegitimate anti-Semite, no one should listen to her. We already have Drop Site News and all the other outlets that have now picked up the story of Ehud Barak's emails that showed that Epstein's clearly with Israel. And they're like, no, we won't report it. Under penalty of law, we will not report it. Beloved Israel shall never, ever, ever be criticized or accurately reported on. Well, what the hell's going on here? Nah, this is absurd. It doesn't matter. Look, all these guys are dead in the water, not physically, violently, I mean rhetorically, politically, and in media, right? So, by the way, if Mark Levin comes out and says, it's okay, release the files, I'm okay now. I didn't want to do it before, but now I want to do it. That means that's it, they scrubbed them clean. But that doesn't matter, guys, because these idiots think they're gonna get away with everything because they're so used to mainstream media being 100% on their side and covering all their tracks. But now everybody's seeing everything. So if they release those files and they try to clean them and scrub them, they're gonna get caught. Everybody in America is gonna pour through those files. They're gonna get caught on what got taken out. And this last trick, Anna, is I'm on Trump's side. Is she saying that Trump is too pro-Israel? Yeah, she's saying that, and half of Trump's voters totally agree.
Like what? Like, right. Are you in a cult? Like, I don't understand. So you're never allowed to question dear leader? Sometimes dear leader is wrong. In fact, Ben Shapiro, out of all people on the right, would know that because he started off as a never Trumper.
Oops.
Was supportive of Ron DeSantis in the primaries.
More easily controlled.
So please stop with this, you're not loyal enough to daddy. argument. It's pathetic, especially coming from a guy who's supposed to be an expert at debating. That's not an argument.
Yeah, none of this matters because as Tucker Carlson said, and it is true, Ben Shapiro won't even have a career 5 years from now. His base is gone. Na 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 na. Okay, quote me on it.
All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, we'll give you the latest in Trump's efforts at what he refers to peace deal in Gaza. Something big happened in the UN, and later in the show, we'll talk about AOC and whether she thinks it's a good idea to challenge Democratic leadership in the House, namely Hakeem Jeffries, the possibly worst House Minority Leader, maybe in the future House Speaker that the Democratic Party has ever had. Anyway, we'll be right back.
Let's go to Super Chat. The Dragon with multiple personas said, Miss Anna, former GOP Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan spoke at the DNC about his son in opposition to Trump. He's since become a Democrat, shifted on abortion, guns, and Medicaid expansion, and is running for Georgia governor. Have you followed his campaign?
I have not. Jeff Duncan sounds like the guy who was embroiled in scandal as a Republican lawmaker. Is that the same guy?
I'm not sure about that, but apparently.
Yeah, don't quote me on that. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But he might be taking AIPAC money. So.
Well, then no. The answer is no.
Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see.
No,
that's just a person writing in. Take it with a grain of salt. But we appreciate you trying to give us thoughts on who to look into. Thomas Daniels said, if you told me 2 years ago that Marjorie Greene goes up against Trump more than AOC, I would have said that you would have been high.
I just looked Jeff Duncan up. Sorry to interrupt that comment. It's not the person I was talking about, and I want to make that very, very clear because I don't want to defame him, okay? So
yeah.
There, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, and he was heroic in how he stood up to Trump during the stolen election nonsense. The Breaker of Wall says, but Cenk, that's the bottom line because the parliamentarians said so. Oh, that's right. And again, journalists are like, oh yeah, of course. The Democrats say they couldn't get anything done ever because of the parliamentarian, and obviously that makes sense, and we'll report it that way, and they did. They were all like, oh, of course, the parliamentarian is the most important person. That's why we're all focused on him. That's why everybody in the country knows who the parliamentarian is. Reporters, okay. Replicant Android K writes in, time for AIPAC files. Like the Epstein release, unredacted, every politician corrupted by AIPAC/Israeli lobby money, trips, influence, force foreign agents to registration on AIPAC now, start the bill, petition reps for Foreign Lobby Transparency Act, declassify all donations/meetings, build massive pressure, viral campaigns, protests, call/email storms, expose bought Congress members. Canada just raised the Palestinian flag in multiple cities. Now push for National Palestinian Heritage/Nakba Museum, expand Canadian Museum for Human Rights exhibit, lead where US can't. Positive testosterone running in the veins. US will continue to have zero chance under AIPAC grip. Canada, you can show the world. Petition government full of museum. Also in reference, grabbed by remark to that Epstein flight photo of Trump and Bubba, hand already in position like been there, done that, bro. Okay, so thank you for your generosity. Thank you for the comment. I will say one quick thing that's a little bit random but related to what you said. So there's now controversy finally. This is a place that I've been to many times. Long Branch in New Jersey. They have this boardwalk. I love the place. And there's one American flag and 6 Israeli flags. And by the way, I believe one of the Kushners was involved there. But anyways, so local residents, both Democrats and Republicans, started going, "What is this? Why are we surrounded by Israeli flags? This is America." And of course, they're all anti-Semites. I'm kidding, but I'm sure the city councilor treated him that way. Anthony Aguilar again writes in on Super Chat. You're amazing. We should all support real reporting like TYTs and reinforce the courage of Anna and Cenk. Boycott corporate media. Support the truth. Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel. We appreciate it, if it is in fact a Lieutenant Colonel. And Mohit Baki says, yay, it's Guru Swami Yank Tank Crank. I don't know about that one, brother. As my mom would say, and the goddess angel Anna, as I love to call her, together ready to rock. Guru Swami Yank Tank Crank.
Oh, I'm
That's
no
her
angel
mom?
though. You better watch out.
Back on TYT Cenk and Anna with you guys. One of our YouTube members, Box, wrote in, Ben has absolutely lost me at this point. He used to be part of my news diet, but he really crashed out. Yep. So anybody who watches Ben Shapiro or listens to him knows there's only one thing he cares about, Israel and tax cuts.
I would like to respond to that comment with a personal anecdote that's relevant to what Ben Shapiro has been saying, not just about the Epstein files, but also about the conduct of the Israeli government and military. A few years ago, I debated Ben Shapiro at in Pennsylvania for it was like the business community coming together, and I was supposed to be, the Chamber of Commerce. The Pennsylvania Chamber of Commerce invited me to debate Ben Shapiro on economic matters, of course. Me being the lefty that the business community hates, Ben Shapiro being the champion of the business community. But something came up in the context of that debate that really stayed with me because it actually had a positive influence on me in that it helped me understand the argument that some on the right were making because I had misunderstood it. I still disagreed with it, but I at least understood what they were talking about, right? And it was about the shooting of unarmed black people in this country, racism, all of that. And he had said something about how, there is a problem with the amount of young black men who are committing crimes. They're disproportionately committing crimes in this country. And I asked him a question. I pushed back, obviously, and I said, well, you think that they're just inherently violent? And he's like, no, there's a problem with the culture. That's what he said. Now, what's really interesting to me, I keep thinking back at that moment because it's like, okay, well then you're able to make a distinction between collectively thinking of people as inherently bad and actually looking at the culture of a group of people and thinking that there are issues with that culture. Okay, why is it that you can't make the same argument about the Israelis? I mean, the Israelis literally just celebrated, provided cover for and celebrated IDF soldiers who were caught on surveillance camera gang raping a Palestinian prisoner.
Yeah, popular opinion is on their side, and that is horrible. Now, if you were to say that there's something wrong with black culture in general, like Ben Shapiro did at that time and has done many, many times, you're gonna have no problem at all. You're not gonna be canceled, no one's gonna care.
He built a career off of making arguments like that.
Yeah, that's right. But if you were to say there's something wrong with Israeli culture, you would definitely be canceled, and everybody would say you're an anti-Semite and the worst person in the world, and no one should ever hire you again, and your voice should be extinguished. So which one is it? Is it that black people are inferior to Israelis, so we're allowed to talk about their culture? Or is it that it's okay to talk about culture, so let's talk about Israeli culture? Which one is it, right? And the reality is, of course, no, they want to be able to smear anyone else. That's why right now, part and parcel of the new Israeli propaganda is trying to get the right wing in this country to hate Muslims instead. So they're like, oh no, hate's good, hate's good. You just shouldn't hate us, you should hate the Muslims. You hate them. Okay, no, the Israeli culture led to the Israeli government. The Israeli government is one of the worst governments of my lifetime. So yes, we gotta fix things, but you can't have any honest conversation because everyone's gonna be called an anti-Semite and smeared forever. Last thing on Ben Shapiro, I had a debate with him at Politicon, and he lost his own audience on one topic, when he defended money in politics. Gee, I wonder why Ben Shapiro defended money in politics.
Yeah.
Is there a country's followers who have bought 90% of Congress and they love money in politics? Because you spend $100 on politicians and you get back $1 million from the American taxpayers.
Yeah, you sure do. All right, well, let's move on to something entirely different. Because I wanted to talk about what happened at the United Nations Security Council just yesterday. They voted on something pretty important, and we'll see how it plays out. Let's get into it. The United Nations Security Council has now officially approved President Donald Trump's so-called peace plan for Gaza with 13 votes in favor. Now, China and Russia were the only two countries that did not vote in favor, but they also did not vote no. They abstained instead. Now, they could have also used their veto power to veto it, but chose not to, and it's probably because of some threats, which we'll get to in just a minute. Now, if you're wondering what's in this so-called peace plan, it's that 20-point plan that we've covered on this show previously, but just as a reminder, the US resolution calls for an international stabilization force to enter, demilitarize, and govern Gaza. So a cabal of international, leaders coming in and essentially making decisions about Palestinians and the land that they live on. Okay, great. But nonetheless, the proposal, which contained Trump's 20-point ceasefire plan, also envisions a board of peace to oversee the peace plan, though it does not clarify the composition of the board. And there are some serious issues with that, which I'll also get to in just a minute. But after the vote, President Trump did gloat. Before I get to that, your 2 cents, Cenk.
Yeah, so look, there is an upside here to what has happened, but there's 2 massive unanswered questions, and that's where the rubber hits the road. So let's tell you about what happened here and then talk about, but how we're gonna answer those questions and what's next.
So Trump thinks that's it, peace in the Middle East, or at least that's the way he's advertising this. He wrote on Truth Social, "Congratulations to the world on the incredible vote of the United Nations Security Council just moments ago, acknowledging and endorsing the, in all caps, Board of Peace, which will be chaired by me and include the most powerful and respected leaders throughout the world." Now, it will be chaired by the man who just had an Al-Qaeda terrorist in the White House and said glowing things about him, talked about how handsome he was, in fact, aboard Air Force One prior to that. And this is also the same guy who has helped Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince of Saudi Arabia, get away with literal murder. He ordered the murder and dismemberment of Washington Post journalist and US resident Jamal Khashoggi. They were complimenting each other in the White House today. So with that in mind, the security resolution, so basically what they're planning on doing here, the Security Council's resolutions are not, they're considered binding under international law. And I'm sure people aren't gonna like that I'm gonna say this, but it's just the truth. International law doesn't mean anything anymore. Okay, beginning with how Biden handled Israel's genocide against the Palestinian people, that allowed for the complete dismantling of international norms and international law. So I don't care what international law says because apparently it doesn't matter. There's no enforcement of it, right? They could call for sanctions. Israel's never gonna face punishment until all these dinosaurs. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah.
I won't finish.
No, look, there is international law for the powerless. So for the Serbs, and for many other people, and the Serbs did commit a genocide, and they should be held accountable. And for some African countries, and obviously for Muslim countries, anyone that doesn't have enough power. But there's going to be no accountability for America, Russia, China, and Israel. Magically, Israel, tiny little Israel, has so much power they can make the whole world make junk all of their laws and say, sorry, there's an Israel exception. They do not have to abide by any laws.
Right. So Mike Walls, the US ambassador to the United Nations, who addressed the council before the vote, called Gaza hell on earth and held up a copy of the resolution describing it as a lifeline. He's also the individual who basically threatened all of the members of the UN Security Council who might consider voting no on this by saying, well, if this doesn't pass, then we're gonna go right back to annihilation in Gaza. He didn't use those words, but that was the implication.
Yeah, Mike Waltz is one of the neocons, Israel First guys. So they were going to put in Elise Stefanik, who's another Israel First person. So when she couldn't do it, they put in Mike Waltz instead. And so he's representing Israel there. So when he says Gaza's hell on earth, he's not saying it like, I can't believe the Israelis did that. He's saying you better accept our proposal, otherwise we're going to make it twice as hellish. And we're going to force American taxpayers to pay for it, etc. So look, here are the real questions. Is Israel going to comply with any of this? Because they have literally said, yeah, you guys can do this fun little silly piece of paper at the UN. It's not going to matter at all. Netanyahu came out right afterwards, and this is a thing they've already voted on. said, no, there will never be a Palestinian state.
Yeah, we have that video actually. Let's take a quick look at that.
And regarding the Palestinian state, our opposition to a Palestinian state on any territory west of the Jordan remains. It is firm and unwavering. It has not changed in the slightest. I have been fending off these attempts for decades now, doing so in the face of both external and internal pressures. So I do not need encouragement, tweets, or lectures from anyone.
Guys, the biggest obstacle to peace in the Middle East is Israel and has been Israel. That's just been a fact. And it's a long-standing fact that our government refuses to acknowledge, to validate, and pretending like the powerless people in this whole scenario, the Palestinian civilians, both in Gaza and the West Bank, by the way, where violence has really exploded against the Palestinians as a result of these Israeli-backed settlers. Like, that continues to be a problem. That's not part of this peace plan. There is no real peace plan. Like, that's the thing that drives me crazy about all of this. There's no peace plan because you don't have a partner in actually negotiating a real peace plan, okay? Israel is not a partner for peace.
No, of course they're not. I mean, they just said it.
They just said it.
Yeah, like we are never going to give the Palestinians a state and nothing will make us do it. Now, of course, we can make them do it. We could just threaten to take their money away or other things, right? But they know, no, we have America completely under our thumb. So they're not, no, we make them do things. They don't make us do things. So yeah, we make them sign this junk piece of paper and then later, we'll say, yeah, we're violating. So the first question is, how are we ever going to get Israel to comply with international law?
Never, it's not gonna happen.
They say they're not going to, and America makes sure that they never do.
We embolden them to behave that way.
So now we got this great international agreement, and there is something, not great, but there is something positive in it, which is that yes, the Arab countries and Turkey, et cetera, have said, okay, we'll do it. We'll bring in security and we'll make sure that Gaza is safe, they don't attack you, and you don't kill the Palestinians anymore. That's a great offer, and I appreciate that, and they're in favor of it, right? But that leads to the second question. No one's talking about the 53% that Israel occupies. So they ethnically cleansed half of Gaza, they completely occupy it now, and they're in the middle of flattening literally every building there so they could rebuild it, Israeli condos there. So what are we gonna do with that half of Gaza?
We know what's gonna happen with that half of Gaza. That's why this is all a farce. This is why I want nothing more than to celebrate an actual peace plan that legitimately leads to a two-state solution. That's not what this is. That's very, very clear to me. And it's because of the same mind virus that infects President Trump on other issues, which is, how can I make money off of this? Jared Kushner salivating over that oceanfront property. You think this is all a mistake, like it's all an accident? No, the reason why Trump wants to be the chairman of this so-called peace board is because he wants to oversee the money-making opportunities for himself and his family.
Look, I just make billions. I don't care about your stupid corruption.
You're 80,
just get out of Gaza. Get the Israelis out of Gaza, and then if you want to build spectacular things for the Palestinians, amazing, great. And you want to make a killing off of it, I don't, just please leave them alone. Give them their own country. But Israel is blocking peace. It is, and in this, the reason the Russians and the Chinese abstain is because they're like, the Israelis say they won't leave. So what is this? This is nonsense, right? Okay, the Egyptians and the Turks and the Indonesians say, yeah, they'll do it and they'll participate, and I don't want you to keep slaughtering the Palestinians, so I'll just abstain. But we all know this is a joke, because the Israelis are never going to leave. This was always about taking land. And so, but our deeply corrupt media in this country never tells you any of that.
The other thing is, it really does look like the stabilization forces are going to be utilized to fight Hamas on behalf of the IDF instead of actually stabilizing for peace. And they're worried about that. So while they've volunteered, and while their public statements seem as though they're totally on board for this, there have been some internal discussions about their concerns that they're just going to be used and they're just going to sacrifice members of their own militaries in order to fight Hamas on behalf of Israel.
Yeah, and so I don't even have a problem with them fighting Hamas, and I love that they're trying to actually protect the Palestinians, and that's part of the point there, and I hope nothing goes wrong there. But basically what Israel and America are trying to trick them into doing is, Why don't you be our cops for us and make sure those dirty Palestinians don't come into our new precious greater Israel, which we just stole from them, okay? So if they just turn into Israeli cops, then yeah, there's going to be unrest and violence, and it's going to turn into an absolute disaster. And then what will Israel say after that? Well, you see that we had the Muslims run it on their own, and it turned into a mess. I guess we're going to have to take the other half of Gaza. And so if you don't agree to that, you're an anti-Semite. So this is planned to explode on these well-meaning countries who are trying to protect the Palestinians. And America is aiding and abetting more of Israel's war crimes. So everybody, look, again, guys, if you live in America and you watch mainstream media, you have no idea how much of a tiny bubble you're in. The rest of the planet sees this perfectly clearly. You're the only ones who don't see it because you're being lied to by ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, MSN, MS Now, and Fox News, okay? And New York Times and Washington Post, they're all lying to you and pretending that Israel didn't take half of Gaza and that Israel didn't do this for land and Israel doesn't have a greater Israel plan, which is the whole point is steal Arab land, genocide, ethnic cleansing, doesn't matter, just take the land, and they did it. And American media lied to you and pretended that if you criticize that you hated Jews.
It's ridiculous. Anyway.
No, they're evil. The mainstream media is evil in their protection of genocide as long as Israel does it.
When we come back from the break, we'll dive into a topic that's entirely different. What's transpiring with Democratic leadership, and are there any efforts to actually challenge ineffective leaders in the Democratic Party? That and more coming up, don't miss it.
All right, back on TYT, guys, shop TYT, you can get 20% off if you use the code THANKS. So shoptyt.com. You know, we have the Get Caught Trying merch on there. And what did Ro Khanna, MTG, and Massey just do? They got caught trying. And what happened when they got caught trying? Boom, it worked. It worked. You never know what's gonna work. You might even be able to go up against mighty Israel and actually land some shots, right? I mean, there is nothing mightier in America than Israel's power, and you'd have to be like you have to be lying or deeply ignorant not to see that. But they went up against it. We go up against it. So many now other folks are beginning to go up against it, and I love getting caught trying. And by the way, it has significant consequences for us. So if you can, be a member, even donate, I don't care. We said we don't, we were trying to stop the donations, but yeah, we're constantly under assault. So tyt.com/join, do whatever you can to help. All right, so let me go to our members there. Beverly, starting from the top of the show, so glad Anna and Cenk are in the studio, funkin' for fun. Hey Cenk, who's that attractive young lady next to you, right? Don,
thank you.
Don Dada Dragon says, Salt and Peppa are back. Michael Napin says, hooray, Anna's back from her weekly tour everywhere. I love when Anna's sent everywhere, but I like her home sweet home more, and Cenk is there too.
Me too, actually.
Yeah.
Like, I'm both exhausted and like you don't really know how much you love the place you work until you spend some time away from it. And it turns out I kind of like it here.
Love to hear that.
Yeah.
You guys have built a good home here, okay? We love that you're with us. Al Belso says, I'm surprised with the vote. I didn't expect so many people to vote yes on this. I expected some of them would feel targeted in the files. But the guys who feel more targeted would vote yes, so because they know it's gonna pass. And they don't want to pull a Clay Higgins, right? And my guess is Clay Higgins is not personally in the files, but is protecting someone that is, okay? Tap is this mic on says, we need to break up the massive media conglomerates like we did Standard Oil and Bell Telephone. These too big to fail companies are a huge danger to democracy, especially media corporations who try to control the narrative as propaganda machines for the power brokers. Brother, don't worry about it. We got them. Okay, like they're falling into the sea anyway. Look, MSNBC is now called MS Now. You know why? Because it's about to get sold now to hedge funds. And off you go, private equity. Bye-bye, bye-bye. You know what private equity does to companies like that? Suck them dry and then dump them in a dumpster. So that's what they got in their future. You don't have to do anything with the government, don't worry. Don Dado Dragon says, unity is corny on purpose. Divide and conquer has always been the strategy. Our society neuters us and tells us to be nonchalant. That's why I love TYT. This passion is turned into action by awesome Americans via Operation Hope. The stories are produced by a dedicated team who puts truth above ego.
Damn right.
And because of that, I'm challenged every day to be a better man and citizen. Cheers, TYT. This win is just the beginning. Fight, hashtag fight, fight, fight.
And I
love that.
And I want to thank my team for trusting me and the vision that we have for this show and what we're trying to do with it. Best team in the world. Couldn't ask for more.
All right, we'll be back. All right, back on TYT, Jen and Anna with you guys. More news.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what's going on with Democrats, starting with this.
I'm trying to figure out what leverage we actually have. What leverage do we have? They control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. It's their government. What leverage do we have?
Real leadership right there. That was a clip of House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, of course, the Democratic House Minority Leader, from earlier this year, which was embarrassing for Democratic voters for obvious reasons. Now, despite widespread criticism of his leadership, if you want to call it that, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez apparently does not believe he should be primaried. Your 2 cents, Cenk.
Well, I was there when we started primarying Joe Crowley, one of the top Democratic leaders, with AOC. Well, I'll tell you about that after you hear this.
So why exactly is AOC defending Hakeem Jeffries, especially since she was elected specifically to challenge milquetoast, pathetic politicians such as himself? Well, in a statement, well, let's start with this actually. So New York City Council member Shi Osei just filed paperwork to run for the House of Representatives in Jeffries' district. Now, in a statement, he told Axios the following, okay? Democratic leadership is not only failing to effectively fight back against Donald Trump, they have also failed to deliver a vision that we can all believe in. I think a lot of Democratic voters read a comment like that and it really does resonate. However, it's worth noting that Osei stated he is only exploring a run right now, so he's not certain to challenge Hakeem Jeffries. He hasn't fully committed. As for AOC, Ocasio-Cortez told Axios during a brief interview at the US Capitol that she was not aware that Osei was challenging Jeffries, but she added, I certainly don't think a primary challenge to the leader is a good idea right now. Well, when would it be a good idea, according to you? And look, she's not the only progressive who doesn't want Osei to run and challenge Hakeem Jeffries. I'll get to all of them in just a minute, but before I do, Cenk.
Yeah, no, I don't mind the other folks because they might have a legitimate reason and they might be acting strategically. And I don't know anything about Osei, so I'm not vouching for anyone. I'm not saying what the exact right strategy here is. But when it comes to AOC, that was a little bit clearer. Why? Because we formed Justice Democrats, I was one of the co-founders, and the point of Justice Democrats was to get progressives into Congress, and when they got there, they were supposed to open the gates. So how would you open the gates? Well, now that you've done a spectacular, miraculous victory like AOC did against who, as we mentioned earlier, Joe Crowley, who was in Democratic leadership. In fact, most people thought that Crowley was going to be the next Speaker of the House after Nancy Pelosi. So he was literally supposed to have Hakeem Jeffries' job until AOC defeated him in a primary. And when we were running those primaries, part of the reason I started Justice Democrats is because I asked all the other left-wing groups in DC, is anyone primarying incumbents? And the answer was no, because they were all scared. They did not get permission to primary incumbents. Well, that was the whole point of Justice Democrats. We're not asking permission. We're just doing it, right? And we're aggressive, and we're gonna capture the Democratic Party and bring it over to the Bernie Sanders image, generally speaking, of what we thought was economic populism. So AOC gets in, and that's when she's supposed to help all the other new challengers, challenging incumbents, just like she was, right? But as soon as she gets in, all of a sudden there's reluctance. But these are my colleagues. Oh my God. Who cares about your colleagues? They would have said the same thing about Crowley. But you didn't mind when we were getting you power. And now all of a sudden, whoa, that's Democratic leadership. How do you not see the irony?
Well, to me, this is my read of what's happened with AOC. First of all, I think throughout her tenure, she's had maybe a good take on some policies, but horrible political instincts. That's my take on it. Putting that aside though, at this current moment, I really do think she is preparing to run for higher office. Now, whether that's going to be Chuck Schumer's seat in the Senate, or some people think she might even run for president in 2028. I really hope she doesn't. I don't think she's ready for that. But nonetheless, if that is what she's preparing for, well, maybe she's trying to keep her powder dry. Maybe she's trying to maintain a positive, friendly relationship with Democratic leadership, so she gets the type of support that would be necessary for that kind of run to be successful. Because we all know that if the Democratic establishment wants to work against you, they will crush you. There's no question.
Well, in the old days, they would have crushed you, but she's not. That's why her instincts are all wrong. Nowadays, they don't have any power to crush anyone. This is when you should be most aggressive against them.
Right.
But she's their friend now. She's their colleague now.
That's true, and
she
that's
has
the other
things
part
to
of it.
gain from them now. Let's be honest. Let's be honest about it. So the whole point of Justice Democrats was to break Democratic leadership, not to cozy up to them. So if you've cozied up to them, you missed the whole point of the organization. It wasn't to help your beloved corporate colleagues. It just wasn't. You're totally wrong about it. So I don't care what you want to run for, and I want you to run for Senate. I think that makes sense, but I don't know. Maybe you're waiting for permission from Chuck Schumer. I don't know, but you seem to love this Democratic leadership that now not just progressives, not just populists or outsiders, but almost all the Democratic voters hate. Now you're the last one to join the party. You were supposed to be the first one to join the party. You were supposed to start the party.
Yeah, so look, this is my take on primaries in general. I think you should always be welcoming of primaries, of all primaries, not just of Hakeem Jeffries. I think if you speak out against a primary challenger, especially as someone who has built a career as a result of being a primary challenger to a pathetic Democrat, it just looks really bad. Because if Hakeem Jeffries is a great leader, if his constituents, the Democratic voters in his district, feel that he's done a great job representing him, well, then he's got nothing to worry about. But apparently he just doesn't want to have to deal with a challenger on his own side, because he would, have to prove and show that he is a good representative. So I just think this was a bad move by AOC. It's one of the many foibles that we've seen from her. And people get upset because they think, you're way too nice to someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has, a past that obviously I've been very critical of and I do not like. But lately she's been doing some pretty great things and she deserves credit for it. But understand that as someone who was a lifelong Democrat, as someone who really did believe in AOC in the early years when she was first elected, I had higher standards for her. It's kind of like the Israel-Hamas thing. Israel has put itself in the position of we represent civilization, and that's a terrorist group. Okay, well then there's something that comes along with that, a certain expectation that you conduct yourselves as a civilized country as opposed to barbarians. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, if you're Israel, right?
If you're Israel.
So look, Marjorie Taylor Greene has shown courage by challenging her own leadership. She challenged him so much, Donald Trump is now calling her Marjorie Traitor Greene. And now today in a press conference, Marjorie Taylor Greene called Donald Trump a traitor.
That's representing a foreign government instead of America first. Yeah.
So that's what challenging leadership looks like, okay? And I mean, Tom Massey's the king of that. And now Ro Khanna doing beautiful work from the left, challenging leadership on Epstein files, on Israel, etc., right? And is anyone on the Democratic leadership calling AOC a traitor? No. Are they calling her any names? No. Why? Because she's not bothering them at all. She's aiding and abetting. And so look, guys, when you get, and last thing on this, when you get into Washington, the culture there is so thick and so toxic that it's hard for an average person to understand. So they get in there and instantly, literally everyone they talk to is telling them, oh, attacking your colleagues, criticizing your colleagues at all is the most toxic, disgusting, terrible, mean, evil thing you could do. It's the third rail of Washington. How dare you criticize a fellow Democrat? How dare you do that? And they all get brainwashed into it, and they do. And they walk around like zombies. We now love our Democratic colleagues. You primaried them a minute ago. You all won in primaries against those same people. But now you got in, and all of a sudden, everybody's comfortable. And if you challenge the incumbents and you challenge leadership, you're gonna become very uncomfortable. And they just couldn't get themselves to be that uncomfortable. So at this point, God bless Ro Khanna. He's the one guy going, all right, I'll be uncomfortable, but I'm gonna do the right thing. All right, guys, Operation Joy is next. It's free, available for everyone, and you're gonna love it, so stay right here.
Every time I come out here, everyone's like, oh my God, in and out, in and out. And I'm like, my controversial non-political opinion is that it's overrated.
All right, back on TYT, Cenk and Anna with you guys. All right, we're gonna do Operation Joy for those of you who are uninitiated. You guys share your joy, we share that joy with the whole audience. Write in now if you want and tell us things that have given you joy. And I keep asking if people have questions about how to be more happy. Nobody wants to ask a question, okay? And they're hard, right? And
I have one possibility, a possible path to happiness for some. It might not work for everybody. Say no more often. That's it. Go ahead.
Oh, well, that's interesting. Okay.
Because we all feel pressure to say yes to things that we don't actually want to do. Just say no. There was like a little shindig that involved like TYT people getting together, which sounded fun. It was I didn't want to schlep in the rain and I was exhausted. So I said no. I said no, Cenk.
Okay, well, good for you, okay?
Damn it.
I'm not sure that is good for you. See, that's karma right there. Anyway, Justin Holland, thank you for joining. Guys, I'm gonna read a couple of comments here left over because it gives me joy. So I wanted to share it with you guys. The real Chem wrote in, thank you, Anna and Cenk. I've been watching for about 20 years.
Wow.
So this is a YouTube member.
Don't give my age away, come on.
I will only watch you for my news. I trust in TYT. Thank you. Okay, you're amazing. By the way, we don't mind if you check out other channels or other, please read Guardian, Lever, Drop Site News, etc. So, but thank you for your faith in us, we appreciate it.
You didn't show up either, huh? I heard that you had RSVP'd for said event.
Oh, no. Somebody got sick.
Oh.
Sure.
Okay.
That dog won't hunt. That's all I'm saying.
Literally true. Okay, these are from Super Chat. 00083 said, #Cenk was right again. I do remember Cenk saying that Epstein will be the Achilles heel of the Trump administration. Thank you guys, I appreciate you. I told you I'm reading these because they give me joy, okay? And then I'm gonna read yours. Sam Hurley says, Cenk, I owe you an apology. I thought it was a misstep having Marjorie Taylor Greene on the show and question your character/motives. I can see now that you were 100% right in your strategy, and I've never been happier to be humbled, brother.
Oh, okay. I love you so much.
Yeah,
do you know how rare what you just did is? It's like the rarest thing. You're a unicorn. Thank you. You're a good person. And I really appreciate you. I really do.
Yeah, Sam, look, what you did, just that comment right there takes a lot of, takes a man to say that, okay? And because you have to say, hey, maybe I wasn't right. And people who are weak can't do that because then they feel like, oh, that's hurting my ego, it'll cause insecurity, etc. Whereas you were like, no, that I see the facts and by the way, Sam, same thing with me. I've been wrong 100 times. You see facts, and if you don't change, why would you want to stay wrong, right? Move on and get to the right position. So thank you for being open-minded and being open-hearted enough to actually say it. And we love you and appreciate you.
God, these comments are really giving me joy. You're right.
I told you.
You're right. You're right. Thank you.
00083 wrote in and said, Cenk, I do remember you saying that to us that the establishment wants us to think that it's impossible to get change. And slowly, you're opening everyone's eyes. Thanks. Cheers. So guys, get caught trying. Get caught trying if you keep trying. Look, Justice Democrats, miraculous victory. No one thought it was possible. And then, as we just explained, they took a turn. And after all of that effort and oh my God, the time, the money, the resources, all of us together, you guys volunteering, giving money, etc., right? And then they take a wrong turn. But are we just gonna get despondent and give up? No, we're gonna do it again and again and again. By the way, the Just Democrats, my guess is that they'll come back around. And they'll go, oh, yeah, right, economic populism. Totally, we're on board, we love it, we wanna do it, right? So you just gotta create the space, the courage, etc., to get them to do it. So the new one is Rebellion PAC. So let's go populist direction. Help Richard Ojeda in North Carolina 9, help Randy Bryce in Wisconsin 1, help Ro Khanna, and a lot more on the way, okay? We're gonna do the cavalry, and you guys are gonna rescue the Democratic Party. Okay, last one is from the main show is Dragon with Multiple Personas. Again, wonderfully generous, thank you, and wrote in with a clarification. That's why I'll say it. Just to clarify, I'm not endorsing him, only wondering if you've been following his campaign. Georgia is a major swing state. About half of Democratic voters there are still undecided. You said you liked his DNC speech, so I was curious. No, nothing, no problem with that, brother. And thank you for keeping us up to date on it. And our Georgia expert is Rashad. So, Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Ritchie, check it out every day. Check it out, Indisputable on YouTube. He used to be among the leadership of the Democratic Party in Georgia. So he knows all those guys really well. All right, Zaina, thank you for joining. We appreciate you. You guys are awesome. All right, I gotta move on now to the things that give you guys joy. So some have already written in, and then I'll read you some from the website. Hannah Hartman wrote in, my joy for today, we had a great turnout in the Tuscarawas County. You're gonna have to, Hannah, you're gonna literally have to tell me.
Can I see it?
3 times before I get it right.
Let me take a little stab at it.
Anyway, I'm gonna give it to you in a second. Turnout for that county's Young Dems' first TYT watch party. I love that you put that together, Hannah, and we gave a shout out, of course, earlier in the show.
Where is it?
It's at the very bottom. Hannah Hartman.
Okay, Tuscarora, nope.
Told you.
All right, that was embarrassing.
See, not that easy.
Tuscarawas.
There's no way that's right.
Raros.
As my ex-Jamaican girlfriend used to say, good. Good. I'm glad you tried. Okay, Michael Knapp says, woohoo, this month marks 20 years with TYT for me as well. Wow, or is that Michelle? Oh, Michael, right? Yeah, Michael Knapp. Hello.
Michael Napin?
No, Knapp.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Anyways, thank you. Appreciate you so much.
We are not high, I promise you.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm struggling with these words and names for no reason. Anyway, not for no reason, to be fair. That one's hard. Shirozumi says, my one joy this year is after waiting almost 5 years, I'm finally getting my autism test tomorrow. Oh, that's great. When you wait 5 years for something, it's terrific. I'm gonna get knee surgery soon. And if it really fixes my knee and I can go back to working out and playing sports and stuff, I'm gonna be so happy. So good luck to you, good luck to me. Virginia, South Carolina, interesting point, says, what would really give me joy is having the I've Had It podcast ladies on the show. Yeah, we should do that. Yeah, that's a great point. So they're the ones who challenged Cory Booker and others, and they've been doing really good work lately. All right, John Bogino says, my Operation Joy for the week. I'm super excited for the new Wicked movie coming out on Friday. I saw the musical years ago and the themes of the story are incredibly relevant today. Totally, couldn't agree more. We saw part 1 already, me and the fam did. And I can't wait to take my kids back for part 2.
It's Tuscarawas.
No, come on, that sounds even funnier.
Tuscarawas, I looked it up.
Tuscarawas? Tuscarawas.
Raw. Tuscarawas.
Tuscarawas. We're the worst. We love you for having a watch party. We just know it's us, not you. Okay.
I love Tuscarawas. I don't know about you.
I had some Tuscarawas last night. They were amazing. Anyways, all right. So people write in at tyt.com/joy. We should check that out.
Joy.
Joy. Okay. All right, so Tim Powell wrote in, joy for me lately, since all my flowers are dormant, is watching TYT clips where Cenk imitates Mark Levin. It's so good and spot on, I can't tell who's who. That's hilarious. I'm reading these blind. Tim, thank you. I didn't think that was coming at all. All right, I like it when people enjoy it. So I've gotten compliments on 2 impressions, Mark Levin and Alex Jones. So, but I'm not gonna do it now, too much pressure. Okay, I'll try to drop one in for you. I did one earlier this show, on this show. Okay, so you got that. All right.
Mark Levin is he's just such a terrible person. Like the way that he's now going after Megyn Kelly, who has done nothing but kiss up to Israel.
No.
Like it's crazy. It is crazy.
No, here's what I'm loving about Mark Levin. A sentence no one has ever said before. Okay.
True.
Now he's being exposed for how dumb he is.
He's so dumb.
Because he loved to pretend he was smart. Like that was his main thing. It's like Douglas Murray with his, have you been there? Like when you haven't debunked that talking point, for whatever reason, it somehow works on people. Like, oh, if you were at Israel and the IDF took you on a carefully manicured tour, and then that somehow makes you a better expert on the Israel-Palestine history? No, it doesn't, but they just say these things, right? So in Mark Levin's case, he would say over and over again in all of his shows about how smart he was. Like and he'd call everybody else stupid, so it gives this air of like he's erudite, intellectual and stuff, right? Do you know how dumb it is to attack Megyn Kelly as an anti-Semite?
It's like the dumbest thing in the world, it really is.
Please keep going, Mark. Oh, please keep going. He's alienating every one of their allies in the right. He's like a one-man wrecking crew.
Yeah.
It's like Megyn Kelly's an anti-Semite neo-Nazi, and everybody should hate Megyn Kelly. And you're like, hey, now you're gonna lose Megyn Kelly, idiot. You had Megyn Kelly back in Israel for whatever reason, like all the time, and now she's going, well, maybe I should question Israel if this son of a bitch is gonna call me an anti-Semite for just talking to Tucker Carlson, who talked to Nick Fuentes. What the hell is this? Mark, keep going, you moron of morons. You're helping the Palestinians more than anyone. Yeah. And by the way, if you just listen to Mark Levin, you go, oh my God, sign me up against Israel. If that guy's
He's not helping Israel's cause, that's for sure.
I mean, at this point, he might have passed Rabbi Shmuley.
No, there's a fun Rabbi Shmuley story, by the way, that I might do tomorrow about how he got into a bit of a tiff with his HOA board. But like, my favorite part of that story is
dildos?
Maybe. I don't want to give too much away, but it does include him accusing his HOA board, which is full of Jewish people, by the way, of being anti-Semites.
Of course. of course, because they weren't in favor of his kosher dildos. I have no idea what the story is.
No, it has nothing to do with dildos this time. Yeah.
By the way, if you're wondering why I'm saying kosher dildos, he literally sells those.
Yeah.
Have you been there?
Look,
well, for the kosher dildos, yes, they have been there.
Listen, not my thing to be honest with you, but no problem with selling kosher dildos. That's not a problem I have with him. Okay.
Yeah, have at it, Hoss. Go get kosher double dongers.
Just leave me out of it, but sure.
Sure, Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro, have fun.
Well, hello.
We're just playing around. The dildo doesn't have to be kosher. Are you crazy? He sells them. It's not us. Take it up with Rabbi Shmuley.
But for real, I really don't have a problem with the dildo selling business. Okay.
And I don't mind them being kosher at all.
Exactly.
And I don't mind how Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro use them. I don't care at all.
Come on.
I don't know that they use them. I don't know that.
We all
That's
know
crazy.
that Ben Shapiro has no interest in anything like that.
Please stop.
That's true. Yeah. I mean.
Okay.
Anyways, okay, I'm done. Wang Jun writes in on tyt.com/joy. I didn't know I was saying it that way. My joy story is that this weekend I'll finally be releasing the first chapters of my webcomic called The Kushina Angram, something I've been working on for the last 4.5 years, or 4 to 5 years. But the reason I write in is because I want to share the story of how TYT actually has a tiny little role in it. Anyone who's written fiction knows that every story needs an inciting incident, the thing that sets everything in motion. In my story, the main characters are watching a breaking news report. For years, the image I had in my head was a single panel of a stereotypical news show, an anchor, some graphics, a busy newsroom in the back, etc., something anyone could recognize. I kept this idea in the storyboards and even made the first sketches. Then I actually had to draw it. It was too overly detailed and just turned into noise. I tried a few more times and it just didn't work. It was just one panel and it shouldn't be that hard. That night I'm watching TYT and thought, I should do that. Just a few screens in the back, simple and effective. A few weeks later, I'm coloring the pages, but I don't know what to put on the screens. Again, it's just one panel, I should keep it simple. Later that night, I'm watching TYT and thought, F it. I'm just gonna turn this into a TYT reference. And it worked. I finally had my panel. And it became my way of showing appreciation for TYT. It's a small, subtle reference, but instantly recognizable. And this is the final result. I hope it brings you a bit of joy. No, I hope it brings a bit of joy to you guys as well.
Wow.
Oh, I see it. Yeah, the American flag in the background.
That.
Yeah.
I actually really love our background.
Okay, good.
I do. I love the way it looks. I love that it's animated. I mean, we don't use that anymore, do we?
No, we do from time to time though.
Okay.
I used it the other day. I forget, for one of the shows, but yeah. But
why don't we use it regularly?
We've had it for decades, yeah.
We just decided to do like a little
I think the reason that it happened was because of some sort of technical issue. Like if you watch.
Oh, I remember that.
Right,
I do
horizontal
remember that.
instead of vertical, then it creates an issue, and that's why we had the logo like this instead.
Logo's cool.
But anyway, Wang Jun, that's awesome, and I love that you did it. And it took you a long time, but you got to your goal, and that's the most important part of it. So that's terrific. I love that. Okay, somebody the other day was, it's on Twitter, somebody writing in about some joke that I made about Bubba and BB and stuff. And then they're like, oh my God, I saw you randomly in Money Monster the other day. Like I'm watching Money Monster and I get to that and they're like, what the hell, Jake Huger's in the movie, right? So that's kind of neat and funny. Yeah, I am at the end of it. Clooney and I worked on it together, not a big deal.
By the way, over the weekend, I was shopping at Costco with my husband, and a fan of the show saw me. And by the way, I look like a mess. It was Saturday. I'm not looking nice. Let's just put it that way. Fan recognizes me, shouts my name from a ways away, actually. And if that guy is watching right now, if I was acting weird, I'm sorry. It was Saturday. And I was a little bit stoned. Okay, so
God bless.
But I took he wanted to take a picture. He was so sweet. He wanted to take a picture. I took a picture with him. The whole time I was thinking, I really hope my eyes aren't too red. I really hope my eyes aren't too red.
Anyway, I get that some people who smoke get red eyes, obviously, right? But you can get red eyes for other things. Because anytime I have red eyes on any video, they're like,
I think it's the whole demeanor, though. It's like I always have like a silly little smile on my face. Yeah. Like I don't know why, but Christian always knows right away because I have that smile.
Okay, that sounds fun.
Don't do.
But Jesus, this hazelnut and vanilla spread stuff on any type of toast, recommend English muffins equals joy. See, that's what I love about Operation Joy. That's it.
Oh.
Low bar, right? That's in the stores. You can get that, and then.
Can we? I've never seen that in my life.
It happens.
Hit me up, Benjamin. I want to try that.
No, don't send food. We'll find it, don't worry. Okay, but yeah, there you go. Get a little bit of joy from that. That sounds amazing. It sounds delicious. All right, Michael Prestano wrote in. I get joy every week. By the way, sorry, come back for a second. If you're new to Operation Joy, you're like, that's it? You guys get joy from like Nutella? Yeah. So guys, as we're fighting, literally, normally this is at this time we do the Revolution show, right? But on Tuesdays we do Operation Joy. Joy is also defiance. It's also a rebellion. People don't want you to be happy. So screw the establishment, screw anyone who doesn't want you to be happy, and be happy. Well, I mean, what do we do in the revolution to get our government back for anyway? So we can be liberated, free, and happy, right? So it's literally in our Declaration of Independence. The pursuit of life, liberty, and well, I screwed that up. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So we're doing our part here as Americans, okay? All right, so let's go to Michael Prestano. I got joy every week when I get to go play with the horses. I live in New Jersey, and at least twice a week, I make the long drive from Morris Plains all the way to Blairstown near the border of Pennsylvania to a place called Patewood Farm. I discovered this place after my girlfriend at the time brought me there as a birthday present after I mentioned that I always wanted to meet a horse in passing. I've been hooked in riding dressage ever since. My teacher Suzanne is not only my teacher in dressage, but I consider her a mentor in life and a true friend. Everyone there considers me family and has made me feel like I'm at home since the beginning. Most of all, I look forward to seeing a very special Belgian quarter horse cross named Bishop. He's the sweetest boy, and it brightens my day every time I get to see him. That's awesome. Oh, and there he is. Okay. All right, Michael. So I know exactly, not exactly how that feels because I didn't do it, but how it can make others feel and give them joy because my nephews used to do the same thing. They're huge now, so it seems funny to imagine, but they did.
Really? Hostage dressage? Really?
Yeah, the jumping of horses.
I don't think it's just jumping. Isn't that like when the horse dances?
I think so. Did they make it dance? I'll have to check with the nephews on whether they made him dance. But they weren't racing. They were doing the dressage business from what I remember.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anyways, way to connect with something that makes you happy. All right.
And also just being around animals. Like animals make me happy, right? So I could totally see how having a hobby, having something that you feel passionate about, and also getting to be around animals is like the best thing ever. It's like the whole point of life. That ain't it.
Okay, the soundboard is back. Okay.
Is it really back? Like
that's why I played it. That was an animal. That was sheep. And so I was looking for animals that are innocent, but I went with a sheep. Wait, this is another animal.
Oh my God.
Okay, those are animals, but all right, help me out, Bart.
Okay, hold on.
There's this old classic having nothing to do with what we're talking about.
For the watch.
For the watch.
You remember that?
Yes.
He used to play that one all the time.
Are innocent.
There you go.
Your host, a Turkish barbarian. Anna is a woman.
Oh, he got it first. Is that where you got the tweet from?
Which tweet?
Not a birthing person, but a woman.
Oh. All right. Let's not get into that again. Okay.
Okay. All right. Sorry. Back to joy. Back to joy.
Should I read some comments?
Oh yeah. Oh, and then I'm going to tell you something that a medical assistant said to me today that brought me a little bit of joy.
Oh, okay, cool. Sorry, I just lost my place. Here we go. Ryu Rawl says, my joy was the weekend my wife convinced me to take take her to the Great Wolf Lodge Indoor Water Park Resort in Washington. I was against it because they overcharge a lot, but I relented and went. That's the right thing to do. Happy wife, happy life, you get the point. And it's not about the money, it's about enjoying your time with your family, obviously. Anyway, the kids had a ton of fun, and we managed to get away by passing the kids to my in-laws and enjoy some of the tube slides. The expense still hurts, but it was nice to relax and swim around with the kids. By the way, the wave pool was a huge hit, especially when the waves started crashing at the end. Okay, first of all, I'm so happy. I love your story. Thank you for sharing it with us. I am not a cheap person. I'm not even frugal, but I'm overly responsible with personal finance, okay? And very cautious with personal finance, which also has downsides to it. And I'm really happy that Christian has gotten me to loosen up a little bit, because when you look back at life, as long as you're not being irresponsible and like going into massive debt to go on trips and stuff like that, right? But when you really look at life, spending a little bit of time to have joy with your family has lasting positive impacts on your wife, on your kids, on your life as well, because what is life all about? Oh, you work and save money all day? Like, no, life is all about the memories you build with your loved ones, including your family, right?
Yeah, so I was off last Tuesday, and why was I off? And it's super hectic times, not just on air, but off air these days. Tons and tons of work. I wouldn't call it irresponsible because I work 24/7, but like it was a tough day to take off. But why did I do it? Because for my daughter's birthday, we decided to go to Disneyland. And I mean, we're gonna have that memory forever, right? And so, yeah, you gotta, even a guy like me who works nonstop, it definitely helps to go and take a break with your family and do these beautiful things. And then I asked my kids, well, when we were in line waiting, interminably, as usual, but that's normal. I said, would you rather have one great memory and you remember it, or have 20 amazing experiences that you don't remember?
I mean, that's easy, in my opinion. The one memory.
Then I went to 100, then I went to 200, then I went to 2,000. And what you realize when you ask that question, which I never asked before, it just popped into my head, is that, oh my God, everything is about the memories. Because if you don't remember them, you keep choosing the one memory, right? Just so the experience is really important, but the memory is more important.
Yeah, definitely, it enriches your life.
So like you might be thinking, Cenk, you're saying super obvious things, right? But does that really inform our decisions though? Do we really, so for example, I spend more money on vacations than I do on material goods. And I've had people in my life say, that doesn't make any sense. You buy a couch, you have the couch for 20 years, you take one vacation and it's over. No, you have the memory forever, right? And that memory is so much more valuable than a couch.
So I love this conversation so much. I mean, another really good example is, I come across friends who complain about other friends who decide to do destination weddings because they'd like to attend the wedding, but they don't want to spend the money to go to the destination wedding, right?
Yep.
But the way that I see it is, if you do have the money and it's not gonna kill you to spend a little extra to go see your friend get married, go see your friend get married. One of my biggest regrets was that when Cenk got married, I didn't want to spend the money to travel out of state to go to your wedding. And I really, really regret that, because that memory would have meant more to me than however much I saved by not traveling to Miami to go to your wedding.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I wish I still had that memory too, but I drank so much. But seriously, yeah, we did have a terrific time at our wedding. And a fun fact about the wedding, you guys will enjoy this, it'll be a trivia question one day. The person who got everybody drunk at Cenk's wedding was Michael Schur. Michael Schur kept passing out shots to everyone until half the place was obliterated.
So he sabotaged your wedding?
No. It was everyone, almost everyone who went will tell you it was one of the best weddings they ever went to, because we didn't care. That we, like you, it was palpable how much we were not uptight, because like so many weddings are so stressed out. Like, we've got to get everything just right and choreographed and etc. We're just like, no, let's have fun. And we adopted everyone else's culture. So we jumped over a broom. We did the Hava Nagila Hava, and we were gonna smash the plates for the Greeks.
Yeah.
But by that time we were too drunk. And so we didn't get to the rest of them because Michael Schur had already obliterated us.
I want to read.
By the way, well-known anti-Semite who actually did a Jewish culture thing at his wedding like 20 years ago. But anyway, yes.
So I'm gonna read one more comment. This is from a longtime viewer of ours and good friend, Eclectic Miscellanea, who says, here's an Operation Joy question. What is your go-to way to pick yourself up after a devastating day of news? If anyone would know this, you two would. I know we need to compartmentalize, but what does that look like for you? Do you take deep breaths, go for a walk, talk it out with your loved ones, avoid talking about politics? Does it depend on the day? I'll answer it first. It depends on the day, obviously. I like to do things that take my mind off of what I've talked about on the show and the news that I've consumed in the day that obviously does have a big impact on me sometimes, and my mood. Sometimes it's cooking, sometimes it's going out to get hand rolls with Christian. Sometimes it's watching a movie or hanging out with a friend, but it always involves interacting with other people who are not deeply involved in the type of work I do, to be honest.
Interesting.
And by the way, the only exception is Cenk. Like one of my favorite things in the world is like when we're both feeling it and we just get together and just talk a ton of shit.
Yeah, it's always fun. Okay, so, all right. So look, guys, my two answers to that are, first, just acknowledging that life's a roller coaster. So you're always gonna hit bad days, whether it's in the news or in your personal life. So like, it's a tough thing to swallow, especially on a bad day. But like, we're not special victims. Like life victimizes us all. So it's not that you didn't get victimized by whatever happened that day, whether again news or personal life, right? But it's that it's supposed to happen. You're supposed to have good days and you're supposed to have bad days. You're supposed to have good news and bad news. And then the question is, how do you adjust to it? How do you make the best of it? So it's like saying, oh, I got a terrible hand in poker. Yeah, of course you did. You're gonna get a lot more of those, right? And you're gonna get some good hands. And guess what? At the end, if you're gonna be judged at all, which I don't think you should be, right? But you'll be judged by how well you played those hands, both the good hands and the bad hands, right? Minimize the losses, maximize the wins, right? So now, but on a personal level, on the compartmentalizing question, which is a great one, guys, I can do this. That's why I've tried to help you guys to do it from time to time. And I know it's really hard. But once you start a little bit, you can get big, go for longer and longer periods of time. I can shut off the bad news in my head. And I can, if I say, okay, I'm taking a timeout, right? You can call it anything you like. Most people call it meditation. I don't even call it anything regularly, but just to give you a sense of, okay, look, I'm not doing the real world right now. I'm sitting here on a couch, on a bed, wherever, right? And you don't have to be in any position. You don't have to put any stress on yourself. Just wherever, just hang out for a second by yourself and think only positive thoughts. Okay, well, that's not gonna make the bad news go away, but it buys you a minute of positive stuff, maybe 5 minutes. Maybe if you're great at it, an hour, right? And why shouldn't you have an hour where you have joy every day? Why not?
Right.
Well, why is that wrong? And a lot of times people feel guilty about being happy. Don't do that. You should feel guilty about not being happy.
No,
crazy?
No, I disagree.
No, don't feel guilty about it.
No, I totally disagree. Look, sometimes you want to stew, and that's okay. That's okay too.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
Give yourself the night to stew. But make a promise to yourself, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow morning in a good mood. I'm gonna let it go, but I'm gonna give myself this time at this moment to be angry, to feel what I need to feel, and then let it go.
Yeah, and then the last thing I guess now that I think about it is a third thing, which is that I try to do something about it generally. And I'm in a position, and it's easy for me to say, where I get to speak about it. I get to fight about it. I get to try to do something about it. But you know what? The size of the impact you have is not important. The effort is important, right? So if your way of doing something about it is supporting a cause or liking a video or anything, just the simplest things in the world, at least you did something, right? And so you do what you can with your power, and again, don't feel guilty about it. All right, so last two things I promised you, and we really gotta go, is I went for a medical appointment today. I talked to a medical assistant. She's from out of town. We were kidding around, and we started, noticing all these similarities. And we're both really positive people overall, right? And it's funny because folks that don't watch TYT regularly, they see me yelling on other shows or whatever, and they think, that's the positive guy, right? But in my real life, I'm super positive, and you guys see it on the show. I mean, we're in the middle of Operation Joy, right? So she said something that I loved, and you guys might have heard it, but I hadn't. She said it takes just as much energy to be negative as to be positive. So why, like, it's the story of the wolf you feed, like the wolf on both shoulders, which one wins? The one you feed, right? So be a little bit more conscious about it, right? Don't judge yourself for it, but just be aware of it. Wait, how much time am I spending being negative? How much time am I spending being positive? And do I think that that's the right balance? And if I don't think it's the right balance, how do I change it? Can I change it 1% at a time, 1 minute at a time, 5 minutes at a time, right? Don't try to take these huge steps and then, I couldn't do it. Baby steps, one step at a time. We build this temple one brick at a time, okay? So I appreciate that lady giving me that wonderful advice, and I leave you on 2 fun sound effects here. And
Mom, why did you do that to me?
This was my ass.
No, those two are not related.
Oh, I can make it related.
All right, one day in a bonus episode, we'll tell you guys where that clip came from. Much love, and
bye.